Sunshine, 3500 John A. Berry Boulevard, Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee. I present to you the 2021 Tennessee State University All-Regional Runner-Man. We're taking back to old school today, 1991. You call it Toby, just ready. Let's go. The University of HBCU in the 60s. Make some noise. What about the 70s? What about the 80s? What about the 90s? What about the 90s? If you're in school right now, make some noise. The musical experience is performed all over the world. NFL, NBA games, presidential inaugurations, and in January 2022, you will see the world famous AOB perform in Pasadena, California. Somebody make some noise!
What is good, family? This is your girl, Courtney Michelle. Welcome to the Courtney Michelle. So I am so happy to have you guys here. As you saw in the thumbnail, this is all about HBCUs. Of course, you know this is very, very dear to my heart. As you can see, I am repping the school, Tennessee State University. I wanted to talk about HBCUs. If you didn't know, I was on a panel, shout out to Lapeef, Let's Talk, and we had a lot to say about HBCUs. And for that small time that we talked about it, I definitely didn't feel like we gave it its justice. I think in this atmosphere that we're in, a lot of things that has been said about HBCUs, quite frankly, was absolutely wrong. So I want to talk about it. Give you a little bit about my experience, other people's experience that went to HBCUs, and definitely want to get your comments, questions, and anything. You know how I rock on my show. So let me tell you a little bit about why I decided to attend an HBCU, particularly Tennessee State University. I never really thought about going to college as far as where I wanted to go. I just knew that I had to go. Mom said, girl, you getting out this house at 18. What school are you going to go to? She was a graduate of Tennessee State University. And I always remember going on that campus. And at 13, 14, 15, going to the campus of Tennessee State University and going to schools where it was all white folks. When I saw that school, it just empowered me in some kind of way. It was beautiful seeing all these Black folks going to school, dressed up, looking good, looked very smart. And I was completely impressed. And then I started watching, what was that show? A Different World, Whitley Gilbert. Oh, man. She was beautiful. She was poised, something that I never saw going to school. Again, I went to school with a whole lot of white women and boys, and no one looked like me. So when I saw her, and I was like, man, how beautiful and articulate she is. And I looked up to her. And then I saw a relationship with Dwayne Wade, and I was like, I got to give me one of them. Where am I finding that? Why not look into HBCUs? And so that started, I guess, my journey and my experience of going to an HBCU. It's being at a younger age, going to see it, and then seeing the representation of Black people going to college, looking amazing, being smart on TV. Unfortunately, I don't see that now. What represents us right now is Love and Hip Hop, the Cardi B's, the Tasha K's. So I don't necessarily see that. So on this particular platform, like I've always said, I want it to be that missing link. I want it to be something where we can show all different sides of Blackness, where we can show our problems with relationships, our problems with health, but yet also our successes. And me going to a historically Black college, I see success. And I want to make sure that this platform shows that. So whatever you done heard about HBCUs, especially with the people calling it subpar, we're about to hear some more stories. We're going to hear from the horse's mouth. So what I wanted to do, I gathered up a panel of some amazing people, and I am so excited to bring them up. So let's get this party started. I'm going to bring up first person up here. Hey, we got Janita, we got Clint. What is going on? And I want you guys to introduce I know you guys, but I want you to introduce who you are. I mean, obviously we see the Perry, but you can say what school you rep. And what do you guys do? Oh, look at these beautiful Black people. What's up? Go ahead, Gina. We'll start with you.
What's going on? Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Janita Pritchett. I am class of 05 from TTTSSSU.
Well, all right.
Seeing my fellow alum on here. I am currently working in all things STEM, standing for science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm the founder of STEAM Forward Academy, and our mission is to actually inspire youth to pursue science, technology, engineering, art, and math with confidence, curiosity, enthusiasm, and a genuine sense of belonging. I also work as a coach for those that are actually entering into STEM careers, and then also a consultant. And then in my, normal job, I'm also a DEI strategist, or diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist within the federal government. And that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you, lovely. And we'll go to Clint. I'm gonna save you last because, honey, your resume is extensive. Matter of fact, all y'all resume is extensive. Freddie B, let me go to you.
Yo, man, you got me following her, doctor. I have no prefixes on my name. That was legit. Made me feel good. Black woman dropping them gems. Boy, you better let these people know.
Let them know.
I am Freddie B. I'm a TV host. Currently, I'm on the Arena Championship Series East Tour, hosting Monster Jams. If you love monster trucks, we're on tour until May. So, go to monsterjam.com. You can look up those dates and you can come out and see your boy Freddie B doing his thing. I'm a graduate of Tennessee State University. As one can see, 06, living in New York, moved to New York to chase my dream, and it's been going well. And I'm happy to be on this panel. Definitely shout out to Clint. Me and Clint, we got some. I had a show called Freddie B TV in school, so Clint actually took over a segment of my show. So double shout out to Clint.
Can we bring the footage?
Good memories right there.
If that's what you got to ask Clint.
Yeah, we got to sign. I got to review those first. They got a little wild, so.
I will say Clint didn't get wild. Clint kept it G. He was like, this big Clint, and I'm gonna take over Freddie B TV, and he introduced his line basically.
Okay, this is all right. We got Vail. What up?
What's going on, Court? How you doing? My name is Lavelle. I graduated from Tennessee State in 2004. I actually practice medicine in Nashville now at Vanderbilt, radiology. Proud graduate. Happy to be here. I saw some of the clips. Court sent some of the clips from the prior show, so I definitely had to come up from my dungeon. I'm normally a little bit ghost, but I had to come out to say a few things. So I'm happy to be here, and my frat, I see him on here as well. So much love to Clint and Freddie. Good to see you as well, bro.
Thank you, Sharika Marie.
Hey, my name is Sharika. I'm born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. I graduated from Tennessee State in 2004. I have a little 21 years of hospitality experience. I spent a good 14 years with the Hilton family, 4 years with Marriott and an independent as well. And post-COVID, I moved to the restaurant side where I now work for the greatest company in the world, Slim and Huskies, as the project manager. And it's just really, really been a fun journey. And a big part of it actually has a lot of TSU roots from the very beginning. So I have a lot to say on this topic.
Yes. And last but not least, since we are talking about the good old Slim and Huskies, Clint, go ahead, brother.
What's up? It's Clint Gray, 1/3 of the Slimmer Huskies co-founder trio, fresh out of Tennessee State University class of 2007. I loved it so much that I came back and got my master's in 2011 from Tennessee State University as well. Like I said, proud owner of Slimmer Huskies. I'm the chief marketing officer, and just proud to be able to rep my HBCU every day, not only through my own endeavors, but through my company and everything that we represent.
Oh, well, thank you. And again, like I said, well, first, I don't think people know me as far as with what I do. They see me on the podcast, but I'm an account executive for an IT firm. So what I do, I am in the STEM field, and I build and I configure computers. So I don't think a lot of people know me for what I do, but I wanted to get this amazing panel together to represent what HBCU, what they are and what we produce. And we produce actors and doctors and business owners and entrepreneurship. And I just think it needs to be said. So I thank you all for joining. And let me ask you a couple of questions before I get into some stuff that I found a little uneasy in my spirit, and I wanted to see what you guys had to say. But I kind of started off with giving my reason or how I started, why I wanted to go to an HBCU. So what made it where you chose to go to an HBCU over a PWI? And for anyone that doesn't know what a PWI is that is watching, it's predominantly white institution.
I'll maybe kick it off a little bit. You know, I grew up with Tennessee State. I was probably conceived at Tennessee State. Okay. Just saying. You know, and so I always grew up with TSU. My mom threw parties on campus. My dad was a DJ at Boyd Hall and all this stuff in the 70s. So I always grew up going to homecomings and being around campus. And I always knew I was going to go to college. I really thought I was going to go to Tennessee State, you know, but by the time I did get ready to go to school, I got a full ride. I think my experience is a lot different because I got a full ride also at UT Knoxville. And I was an engineering major, and I took that offer and I took the full ride to UT. And it was awful in my household. I mean, my parents were so livid, especially as an engineer major, spent a lot of summers in summer engineering programs. But I went to UT, and I mean, I can go in that story a little later. I know other people have stories, but ultimately that was not the fit for me. And my parents ultimately said, you coming back home. You come back home because you're not doing nothing at UT. And I ended up at TSU, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I should have been there in the first place. So
Thank you.
I actually just happened to come back to TSU.
You came on home, baby.
Came
back home.
What about you, Freddie B?
Man, so I graduated high school at 16. And I got two twin brothers. And my mom was a single mom, you know, raising three boys. And my brothers are like a little bit under 2 years. They basically 2 years younger than me. So we got us all jammed together. My brothers weren't, they were the opposite of me in school. They didn't do good in school. So my mom had to really concentrate on them and keeping them in line in school and passing. They were just barely passing. So I kind of was just left to my own devices at, you know, going to my 11th grade year at 14, because, you know, that's really the year you start getting college action. I was 14 handling that, and then turned 15, and then 15 going in the senior year. I'm trying to handle it. And the crazy thing about it is my dad went to both my parents went to Morris Brown. My mom went to Tennessee State as well. And I went to Morris Brown homecoming. My dad is Omega. So, you know, I was on the yard, on the plots and doing all that. So I was familiar with it, but, you know, I was super young. When I got older, it just wasn't on the radar. So actually Tennessee State University was the only HBCU on my application, on my SAT, sending it out. So I got a scholarship to UT Knoxville, scholarship to Georgia Tech, scholarship to Vanderbilt, got accepted to Yale, Princeton, Cornell, and Dartmouth. And so I got all these acceptance letters, but I was just like lackadaisical about the whole college experience. I was like, okay, it wasn't interesting to me. It didn't resonate with me. I didn't get it, because like I said, I was just trying to play video games and go outside and play with my friends. That's what was important to me, not really college. I knew I was going to go. It was just, I was making straight A's. Okay, I'm going to college. It's another year. Mm-hmm. And so when all the money came in, I got, because Ivy League schools, they don't give full scholarships. You get like grants. So I was able to get like these different grants to cover the cost. But at TSU, I got a full academic ride, and I got a whole bunch of other like young student grants and a whole bunch of grants to where the first year, that whole year, I got back $10,000, on a refund check, split over 2 semesters. So my mom, she saw that and she was just like, "Brad, like you don't need no debt. Go to TSU." And then I was like, "Okay." I guess because I was gonna go to Cornell. That was my choice. I was gonna go to Cornell in Ithaca, New York, upstate New York. Nobody there. My mom was like, 16 years old. I'm not sending you there with all them white folks all by yourself. Upstate New York, it's not happening. So then I was like, all right, well, I go to TSU. And then, but then the thing is I'm happy. I tell people my story. People are like, why'd you choose TSU over Princeton, Dartmouth, Cornell, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, all these different places? But
I'm going to come back. That is important, because that is a talking point that I hear all the time. But yeah, so, well, I want to know why.
Well, like I said, it was the money. But then like looking back on it, it's a situation where I'm glad I did, because it insulated me, especially as a 16-year-old child. I still was a child. I was doing like childish. I almost got kicked out of school my freshman year, just not thinking and just being a child. I was 16 and I wasn't ready to by no means be on my own, even with my mom in the same city. So it was good I went there. And, like I said, looking back on it, we can talk about that later. I'm sure we get into that, what I learned.
Hey, Freddie B, that explains a lot, man. You was the only one on campus, man, with a whole production business. You know what I'm saying? and you took them funds, man, started that business off the rip.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. When I got to school, I started looking at my little printout. I was like, what is all this money they asking me to pay? And then what happened was when I started my show, the yearbook hit me up to buy my footage. And then I was like negotiating with all the deans in the school. And then that's when it like really hit me. I was like, yo, there's money to be made. It's time. It's go time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead, Clint. Why don't you answer the question as far as why?
Man, I was exposed to Tennessee State early, a lot like Marie. My father was a recruiter for Coach John Merritt. Mm-hmm. So he, was out bringing some of those legendary players to Tennessee State, back in the day that we hear so much about. And so, and I grew up in a household with TSU memorabilia, all through it. My mom, she went to Fisk. And when it came time for me to go to school, I had got recruited to, several other HBCUs to play football, took visits to Alabama A&M, Hampton, and had some other small offers from PWIs. But when it came down to it, it was my love for Tennessee State, just the culture that I saw as a kid. I used to sell hot dogs at the concession stands, in the whole. And then, I had an opportunity to actually spend some time on PWI campuses such as University of Memphis, UT. I was in Inroads in high school, and we took visits to those schools.
Shout out to Inroads.
We got some Inroads alum on here.
Inroads.
Yeah.
Hey, I almost got put out of Inroads. My sister was an advisor, so she saved me. But because of those campus trips, we had too much fun on some of those campus trips, to those.
They don't do them no more, do they?
They were like, get those Inroads kids out of here. But but yeah, man, like being on those campuses and like experiencing, the life of a PWI student, I compared that to like, being on Tennessee State's campus when my older sister was at TSU, and just, remembering like how much love and tradition was on the campus. man, it was an easy decision for me when I, was able to get the scholarship to TSU, play football. It was one of those lifelong dreams. And it was an easy decision. I never wanted to stay in Nashville to go to college, but if I had to do it, Tennessee State was that reason.
Yeah, thank you, Janita.
So both of my parents are double HBCU alum. They met at Alabama A&M in physics class, ended up going to Howard for their master's in nuclear engineering. And for me, in our household, the idea of going to HBCU was just something that was talked about. It resonated, right? But then I also grew up in an area where I was one of 15 Black girls in my graduating class, in a class of almost 400. So I didn't see too many people that looked like me in my neighborhood growing up or in my school district. So I knew I wanted to go to HBCU. Quite honestly, I grew up in Pittsburgh. So Tennessee State initially was not even on my radar because, again, I'm in Pittsburgh. I knew the two that my parents went to, but wasn't too, fully ingrained in all that was out there. So I went on a college tour my senior year, and we went, down the East Coast essentially. And I came to Tennessee State on a Wednesday, y'all.
Done deal.
You are
right. On a Wednesday.
Fabulous Wednesdays.
Came on a Wednesday, and I mean, for those who have not been to Tennessee State, the campus is beautiful, just on any day. But on a Wednesday, the vibe is different. There's something in the air that people are kicking it. That courtyard is popping, and I was like, oh yeah, this home right here. And I I'd applied to a variety of schools, but Tennessee State ended up being the one that I knew that was home. They had I knew I was going to do chemistry. They had a great chemistry department, so I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so that's ultimately how I ended up down in Nashville. I didn't know a soul when I moved down there, and ended up meeting so many great friends along the way.
Okay. And last but not least, Lavelle.
Yeah, so I grew up in Nashville as well. And I think I would be a good person to listen to this as a high school person, because when I grew up in Nashville, I went to Brentwood Academy, which academy on the end of it, you can imagine it was one of those schools. There were no Black women at that school when I went there. If you were Black and you went there, you played sports. That's the only reason you were there, right? And I was a part of that. My older brother had gone there and played sports. I joke a lot of time, I'm the failure in my family. So my older brother played in the NFL. My younger brother played professional basketball, and then there's me. And my family, I'm the failure.
Hey, it's always one. You the jello of the family.
He's a failure being a doctor. Okay.
There you go, Freddie. But man, but I'll tell you, I was trying to follow in my brother's footsteps, right? Little brother. I wanted to be like him. He played at University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I was playing football. I got scholarship offers, but I decided to take a scholarship offer, actually kind of similar to Sharika at PWI at Rhodes College in Memphis. Mm-hmm. So I went to Rhodes College for 2 years. I ended up crossing down there, so it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. But I'll say I realized at some point I'm not big enough to play, professional football. So I transferred to TSU, and that was the smartest decision I ever made in my life. Because when I was coming out, my college counselor never mentioned TSU to me as an option ever. And truth told, I'll be honest, as it relates to we might get into this, but in terms of recruiting, I didn't get recruited by TSU. I definitely had the talent. I could have played there, but I didn't get recruited by TSU. At that time, they really didn't recruit at MBA or BA. Those were the big high schools, but nonetheless, I ended up transferring to state. And the experience that I had was what I needed. It enriched my life. It gave me a sense of belonging that I had missed out on for years upon years. And so I got to an HBCU campus, and I didn't leave. After I went to Tennessee State, I went to Meharry and finished there. But I'll say the one thing I'll say, Court, I did watch those prior shows, and what kind of fired me up is there was one guy that mentioned.
Slow your roll now.
Oh, oh, my bad.
We won't get to it because I was joking. That's why you can't show people stuff in advance.
Court, listen, some of the things that he was mentioning, though, in terms of, and I'm not even gonna say white is right. It's like Ivy League is better. I've been there, and they're brick buildings. It's it. So
We're
we'll
gonna
get to it though.
We'll get there. So I talked about the experience, the Black experience, the HBCU experience, which is a real thing. But I don't think people understand that there's an experience with being on campus or attending, but yet there's also an experience of when you graduate and the continue on of living that experience, especially with homecomings and the networking and the people that you meet. So anyone can jump in, but tell me about your experience with being on campus. I remember being on a show and I likened my experience to being a real life Wakanda.
Listen, why didn't nobody tell me about Wednesdays when I transferred? Nobody told me. Nobody told me.
You missed out.
I didn't know. I was a transfer my junior year. So when I got there, I'll never forget. I was in my 12 o'clock Spanish class. And I kept trying to figure out why nobody ever shows up to class. Like,
see, that's where you messed up having a class.
That's where you messed up having a class.
Nobody told me don't take the 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. Like, nobody. I was like, where is everybody? I'm like the only person that shows up to class. And everybody's out there living their best life in the courtyard. I never scheduled another 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, ever.
Right.
Never. But I just felt like I had never been around so many people that looked like me, that were going towards the same goal. It was so different from when I was at UT. Like it was this many people at UT, and that's all you saw. But there was so many people. And I feel like, LaVelle, did we have a class together? Did you have Miss Bobo in history?
Yeah,
Miss Bobo.
Absolutely.
I think we were in the same class.
We had braids back then, though. So that's
it. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. But I loved it. And the people I met are my lifelong friends to this day. They're my son's aunts and uncles now. And I just think it made a different world for me, for real. Like, I grew up there. I really grew up there, and I messed up there, and I survived there. I cried there. I laughed there. Got my car towed, all kind of stuff.
I think one of the main things that goes unnoticed that I loved about being on campus is just how many like creators and trendsetters, live on campus or are just on campus attending either class or attending, the student center, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it was like little mini businesses on campus that might go unnoticed, right? So you get, my next door neighbor in Watson Hall, who's a chef now, Chef Keith Bax, he had he had a full kitchen set up, on the second floor of Watson Hall, where if you were hungry, you go get a fish sandwich, you go get a fried bologna sandwich, some chicken tenders. You know what I'm saying? You had, of course, you had the party promoters that are now, that are not. You had the Black Robs that were party promoters back in the day, but now they're club owners and restaurant and lounge owners. You know what I'm saying? You had, somebody with their own radio show. You know what I mean? This was killing it then, killing it now. You had your first barbers and hairdressers, and they were making money on campus and figuring out ways to live, you know what I'm saying, and support themselves on campus through commerce. And it wasn't they weren't just doing it half-assed, like they were good at what they did. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it was so many different little mini industries on campus that used to go unnoticed, and then you look fast forward to now, and these people are still like flourishing in their craft. So it's like living in a black, in a black community, an extension of the black community, full of like young creators and people full of talent that challenge you to think differently and think more innovative. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, I'll never forget, we had guys taking bets on video games. You know what I'm saying? That was the original, what's the betting sites now? I mean, we had that on campus back in 2003. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody going around collecting bets and bookies on campus. But
e-gaming.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were, you know, I just look back at like so many different people who were making a living early on and are doing those same things now, and they were learning how to not only build their businesses on campus, but how to deal with people. You know what I mean? And learn how to manage people, because people from Nashville act different than people from Miami. People from Miami act different than people from Memphis. And it's just like you were just learning, you know, people, and if you paid attention closer, business as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I would say, you know, I look back and it's crazy, but at Tennessee State, I've got, you know, I can think about Tina Ackland, Tremaine Davis, you know, Jessica Washington. I mean, so many people, Chauncey Davis, like so many people that I started with, I went to Meharry with, right? So when I think about the talent pool that we had there, these people, you know, not just went to class, they were successful in class and then transferred. You know, I know we're talking about TSU a little bit because we all went there. But for me, I'll tell you a little bit about a different HBCU. That's Meharry. Yeah,
please do, because I know for people that don't know what Meharry is, and I think it's important because a lot of people are unfamiliar, and that's something that they definitely need to get familiar with when we talk about historically Black colleges. Let's throw our medical colleges in there.
So there are four. There are four, and I might educate just a little bit. So there used to be significantly more. But in 1910, they came out with something called the Wexner Report. And this was a report that came out, and essentially it kneecapped Black medical education. There were, I think, 12 Black medical schools at the time, and they knocked it down to it was just Meharry and Howard. That was it in 1910. And their theory for leaving those two open basically was that these individuals would be sanitarians. They thought that Black people carried diseases. So they would be sanitarians. This is actually, if you look it up, they use this phraseology, sanitarians to protect white people from diseases that Black people had. So they kept those two open. And that caused a decline in Black African-American physicians that, you know, to this day, in 1910, there were about, it's like 4% of the American population that were Black physicians. And now we're at about 5.8%. So we haven't made that much headway. And I'll say to you, since then, we've had the onboarding of Morehouse Medical College, and then also Drew in California. Those both came in the 70s. But essentially, you know, when you think about a Black medical school, it's what it sounds like. I'll be honest with you. It is a medical school that's catered towards producing physicians that look like us, that come into our communities and take care of us. You know, and the big thing, even right now, when we're talking about COVID, it's trust, right? So when someone is telling you take a shot, do X, Y, Z, it's a lot different if that person looks like you, if they've had the experiences you've had in life, if they also know about Tuskegee experiments. It's just a lot of times, you know, there's been a lot of stuff in history that would really give us hesitation, really, to have, you know, a vaccine shot into you if you don't know. But having these Black physicians helps. And I think back to what somebody said, Wakanda, and I think Clint said a haven, but it really was that at Meharry. I'll tell you, because you walk around and you think that this is what the world is. I mean, I was in a class of 100 people that were going to become physicians. And of that, 90% of them were Black. When I got into my residency in Boston, it was just me. That's it. Just me. You know, and I'll say that when I look at it, at the time, you know, even your enemies, right? I'm not saying enemies, but people you didn't like. Everybody, you know, you're in med school, you know, man, I would take my worst enemy 10 times over before I would take some of the people that were in my, you know, intern year class. Because those individuals there, they know your experience, they know what you're dealing with. And really, you know, what are you arguing over? What do you have differences about? Nothing. But you don't realize it while you're there. But once you get into the real world, right, and you realize that, hey, listen, it's just going to be you. And that happened for so many of us. You know, and so I thank God for social media, because we were able to actually support one another through that, you know, through that process. And I'm sure Dr. Pritchett will talk a little bit about that too, possibly, because I'm sure she experienced some of that too. So,
yeah. Okay. So go ahead, Doctor. Miss.
So
let's talk about your experience and, the Black experience, the HBCU experience. How did it feel when you being on campus and even the extenuation of it now that you're gone and graduated?
So for me, like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood. I was the only Black family. I grew up in a school where, again, very minimal Black people. So when I got to TSU, I was like, my people, where have y'all been? I have yearned for y'all. And it was just, I mean, I can't even explain how I look back at pictures and things and just how proud I feel to have been around so many people that are now doing amazing things. Like we got some dope people that have come out of TSU and just people that have come out of HBCUs in general. But I think the thing I appreciate the most from my time, or one of the things I appreciate the most from my time on campus is, there are a lot of people you see on a regular, like we just saw Vel and Sharika. You're like, oh, I think we was in camp, we was in school together. But the moment you realize that you know them from your school, it's family, it's love. And I think a lot of the people that I have become closest with that went to TSU, I may have not ever even talked to them at school, but I saw them and then connected with them later on in life. I'm almost, 20 years removed at this point from my time at TSU. And it, to be able to connect with people that I've, never maybe had a conversation, but just we passed each other on campus and now we are great friends, supporting each other's businesses. It's that family feeling, that support that happens. I mean, Clint, I've never met you before, but I've been at Slim and Huskies plenty of times.
Appreciate you.
It's TSU. So like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's that, I don't know you, but I know you went to my school, so I rock with you. And it's that vibe that carries on beyond whatever happened. Because, sometimes you in the trenches whenever you in your freshman year, sophomore year. I know I didn't have no car. I didn't have no money. I was out there thugging it. So like, you grow up on these campuses. So then whenever you see people flourishing, the idea of actually supporting one another, big enough. Courtney, you hit me up, say, hey, you want to be on here? It was, yeah, of course. What time? I'll be there. Just on the strength of it's all love. So that's the thing I think I cherish the most about what I got from my HBCU experience.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I love the fact that we don't talk about, that's why I was asking the experience that you have after the fact. Like we can talk about networking, but it's just deeper than that. Like you become family. Homecomings is a family whole reunion. And with that experience, it just means a lot. I look forward to that every year. I take off a week to it every year. And
homecoming almost killed us. Courtney.
We'll talk about that another time. Okay, Frederick, please. So tell us about your experience being on campus, and now that you're removed from it, does that experience, are you still having that of the HBCU?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I guess before I definitely shout out, y'all went to Meharry, and a shout out y'all frat brother Gerald. He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot in the medical area, especially for Black people and stuff like that. So definitely want to shout him out too, because that was family too. It was a bunch of boys on in Alpha Theta that my guys. But I mean, my experience is interesting enough, a tale of two experiences. Like my first half, I got in there, I was young. I wasn't Freddie B. I was just Freddie. I was little Freddie. So I wasn't Freddie B, and I was computer science major. And so I kind of just like was quiet, surprisingly, and just hung with the guys that I knew. And it was a bunch of like older guys that kind of like took me on their wing as like a little brother. Cause like I'm 16 and I turned 17 at the end of the year. And I was in Boyd. I never stayed in Washington. I stayed in Boyd like off rip. So I'm around men. I'm around dudes 19, 20, 21, 22, football team, stuff like that. And a lot of people, they found out I was 16. They was like, oh, that's like little Freddie. So I was like literally like little bro. You know what I mean? I was just following like what they did, like literally just following them around. Then I became Freddie B, and I created that show. And that was a second like life. And then I got to really implement myself into TSU and learn about life as a whole, like how to maneuver through life. Because then I started knowing everybody on campus, and then I'm starting to meet faculty too. Now I'm starting to mix it up with faculty. So I'm starting to learn about how to get things done, because Freddie B TV was never a accredited on-campus organization, but I was able to get the Forum, get Gentry Center, get all these places to show my show. And that was just like, it was through work. And that's also the other thing that being at HBCU taught me is, you know, that work, but it was in a comforting environment to where I wasn't alienated just off, like I walk through a door and I'm automatically alienated because I'm Black and all these people white. You know, it's like I'm Black and I just could be a part of a group. And now it's just based on what I bring and what I offer, like the work. So if I put the work in, I can see the fruits of my labor come to fruition. So then I can pack out the form and bring through artists just off the humble, working with Big Boy AJ, working with my man P. Rich was at the radio at the time, working with Sherman at the time. He's Morgan now, but at the time he was Sherman, but working with him, you know, doing all these different things and being able to make these moves and being implemented into the student body and seeing that you only gonna see at the HBCU the fabric of Black people, because you got everything at HBCU. You got your nerds who don't know nobody, you got your jocks, you got your football people, you got your nerds who are popular, you got your fraternity members, you got sorority members, you got your Whitleys, you got your corny girls, your weird girls, you got every type of Black person there, which you don't get at PWI. PWI got like just this circle of Black people that you can hang with, but you're not getting that full fabric of Black people that you get at an HBCU. And you see all this, and to tie in what everybody else here said is homecoming, you get a family. So I got a family reunion every year to go to, and I'm well past college age, but every year I can go back home to my family. It don't matter what I did in the world. Like I'm sure Clint, you own Slim Huskies, you get these sponsors, you gotta, button it up. Like, okay, guys, look, listen, this is what I want to do. Just a little bit. I'm sure y'all can relate. All my doctors, everybody, you button it up. You code switch. You code switch a little bit. But when you go to homecoming, you can tap into that primal Black culture. It's culture that we have that hasn't been scrubbed away at a PWI, that we can stay true to ourselves, but we still know what it is when we go out to the public. You know what I mean? It's like we all six of us can go out to the public and we know how to bing, bow, tighten it up. Hey, look, hey, relax. We go to homecoming. These niggas out, ugly. Look at this big face. Look at Clint beard. Oh, nappy beard. Like just stuff like that. Big forehead, like. You can just do your thing and ain't nobody there like, oh, okay, can't hire her, can't, I didn't know, ooh, okay, oh, relax. People looking at you weird, because like right now I'm on a tour, Monster Jam. I'm the only Black person on this tour that's working. I'm the host and I'm me, and I just go into thing. I just treat people like you're a person. I'm not paying attention to the race. I see that you white, Black, or whatever, but I'm about your character, how we gonna rock. Character bad, I ain't gonna rock with you. Character good, let's get it. But I'm sure all y'all can relate to, like, you said you was in Boston, Vail was in Boston, like, when you there, like, white people make it apparent, like, you start to be like, oh, damn, you might have forgot, but you don't get reminded that you the only Black person here. Yeah. Like, and then that's what I gotta deal with.
You don't got on the North Face, right? Like, you don't know that code. You gotta. Yeah. But exactly. Hey, let me ask you a question. Freddie, let me ask you a question. Do you think, I heard you mention Cornell and Yale. Do you think you would be you in this forum if you had gone to those places?
Man, of course not, man. No telling. I might have been a crackhead somewhere. No telling where, I mean, like I said, I was 16 and impressionable. I was 16 and I was super green. Like I hadn't done much of nothing. I just went to, like when I was in school, I went to school and like I said, I would come, like my time to play was when I came home and went outside and played with my friends. Played football in the neighborhood, basketball in the neighborhood, ran around the neighborhood with my friends and try to get their mom, like, find out you can have company to go play video games. Yeah. That was me before I went to college. Like I wasn't the one that was like, my mom had to worry about like, what talk hell, not a crackhead, yeah, a crackhead. But I wasn't the one where like some people who's 17, 18, you in college, like your parents got to like, look, your curfew is 12. Make sure you home at 12. Make sure you have the 12:30, whatever your curfew is. My mom didn't give me a curfew because she was like, he don't be doing that. My mom had to force me to go to prom. She had to force me to go to a dance. I wasn't trying to go. I wanted to go outside and play with my friends. So I was a kid going to college. So this kid, you place him upstate New York or in the Northeast where racism is worse in the Northeast than down South. And I feel like I can speak on that pretty accurately, living in New York for 8.5, 9 years, but then growing up in the South up until I was 30. I got that good experience. You put me in the Northeast, with this type of dire racism, and I'm 16, and I don't know no better, and I'm just around nothing but white folks. Ain't no black people, ain't no family, no nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to colleges where I had no family, but I didn't know. I'm just like, I don't even know why I wanted to go to Cornell, like, to tell you the truth. But I'm glad that I went to TSU because I got that family. Every year, I always know I got at least 1 week where I can go and be around black folks and tap into my black culture and be comfortable just talking. And I don't have to work. I know how to read black women, I know how to read black men, and I know that #MeToo ain't gonna sting me in 5 years because I know, this chick I went to school and come up with Fred said this and made me feel uncomfortable because I know the chicks I'm around, they be like, Fred, excuse me, stop. No. They gonna just check me off rip. I'm like, oh, my bad. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But around the other folks, they ha ha ha, smile, and then 5 years later, Fred made me feel uncomfortable. He made this comment. I'm like, what? Like, that ain't what that was, man. But it's too late because I'm canceled.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for that. Freddie, you said something that I thought was interesting, and I don't think I really thought about that. One of the myths of HBCUs is that they're not diverse. Now, we all know going to an HBCU, you will see diversity. You see, there are a lot of white people that go to the school. There are, different countries that go to the school. But the diversity that we never talk about is the diversity of us. It's the diversity of Black people. Me growing up in a white area, I would see, besides my family, a lot of the Black folks on TV thinking, oh, this is how Black folks, how they act. And I think a lot of white people see that as well, too. So, going to an HBCU and the diversity of Black people, like you said, the nerds, the jocks, the Greeks, the cool nerds, the thoughts, all of them all in one. How they act in Memphis is different, like you said, how they act in Miami. And even, being from Nashville and Memphis, 2.5 hour difference. But my God, what a difference.
Yes.
So the diversity. I'm sorry, Sharika. But Nashville all day. But the diversity of us, is never talked about. And everyone says we're not a monolith. Like, we get it, but you actually see it when you go to an HBCU and you learn to, talk and, be around a whole lot of different people, even though they might have your skin complexion and brown like you. Every skin folk ain't the kin folk.
Not at all.
Right. So I have another doctor that I'm going to pull up on, and then I'm going to show something to get you guys' opinion. And I believe we have another hairy man. What is going on, Dr. Myron? How are you?
Doing good. How's everybody doing this evening?
Hi.
What's up, man?
What you repping today? What you got on?
I went to Morehouse for undergrad. So
oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, interesting story for me. So I went to Morehouse for undergrad, did post-bac at Morehouse School of Medicine, did a Master of Divinity at Interdenominational Theological Center before I went to dental school at Meharry. Not to brag on all the stuff I've done, but to show that how HBCUs have molded me and shaped me into the man I am today.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Awesome. Now me and you had the conversation because you saw me on the panel when we were talking about HBCUs. Now, let me ask you a question also, panelists, before I get into some of the clips that I want to discuss. Are you surprised when you hear Black folks talk down about HBCUs?
Yes.
No.
You said no.
Part of it comes from some ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it can be from thinking the white man's ice is colder, think that whatever Black people have is not as good as what white people have per se. But going to being at Morehouse, time I was there.
Oh, look at that comment.
That's a cuss word.
Shout out to you, John. Shout out.
What?
The nerve,
But going to Morehouse and being around a lot of the people that I was around there, I was there at the time when Denzel's son was there. I was there at the time. I think Steve Harvey's daughter was at and Samuel L. Jackson's daughter were at Spelman when I was there, and then even Bakari Sellers was at Morehouse when I was there. There's a lot of, and those are just the famous names that not including the people that are that end up going to the PWIs for medical and dental school, who are doing the thing in medicine, doing the thing in research, and doing the thing in entrepreneurship and entertainment, lawyers, law, anything that you get, preachers, anything that you can name come from our great institutions. And even if you look at a lot of our great heroes, Martin Luther King, people such as that came from HBCUs. So this idea that our schools are less than, to me, it just drives me up the wall. And to see that there were mainly men on the panel just bashing the schools and bashing the experience and saying that we're not prepared to be to work in the world. It's dumbfounded to me, and it just shows your ignorance, shows you don't know your history, and it shows that you look down on Black people and Black culture.
Yeah. So, Freddie, you said no, it doesn't surprise you.
No, it don't surprise me. You think about, go back to slavery. Harriet Tubman was taking niggas to Canada, freeing people. Everybody didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? Like you think about we've all met Black people, and it's like you just said, like that's why that's such a famous saying, all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Mm-hmm.
Like and my man, he just said it, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Banks, he just said there's a lot of Black people who think white ice is colder. Like that's why that's a famous saying. Like a lot of Black people, it just come down to ignorance. You know what I mean? Like those people on those panels, I'm pretty sure they never even set foot on the HBCU and seen the environment, seen the culture. I mean, we sitting on this panel right here. We got doctors, like people who can run circles around majority of people who went to Michigan, Ohio States, and Louisiana, all your D1 blue blood schools. Like, so that's not the thing. It's just we live in a country that racism is so embedded in it. Because I was a media major, computer science major at first, but now I became a media major, and I understand exactly how the media work. And like anytime something comes on the media, I can break it down and see through it. I can't explain it to everybody. I could tell some people, but the media already got to you and has you believe what you want to believe. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, it's one of the things where you can't save everybody. You know what I mean? You can save the people who you can save, and that's why I don't trip. Like that's what you believe. That's what you believe. But I can tell you what it is. If you want to speak facts, we could do facts. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, everybody lives in some form of emotion. And then it just takes you a little time to get to that topic to where you're gonna hit that emotional well, and your logic, you just pissing in the wind there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like even for our business, you know, being a Black-owned business, one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing Black restaurant chain in America, you know, we get comments all the time from Black people, you know, commenting that, you know, man, you know, I want to support, but something very simple might have happened, you know, negatively within their experience. Like, this is why I don't support Black business, right? And it's like, I'm like, yo, you know, well, you should support a business that didn't start from a trust fund or through a bank loan and literally built it brick by brick, you know, and is, you know, building that business without a ton of debt. You know what I mean? Like,
got it out the mud.
Yeah, getting it, straight from the ground up. You should support that and understand that, you know, sometimes there are going to be some hiccups, right? You know, same with HBCUs. It's like, you know what? The state owes Tennessee State $500 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going to lack some resources, and we're going to lack some issue, you know, lack some, you know, some service somewhere on campus, right? But it's like, it's not necessarily about, you know, things being perfect, right? It's about you taking an experience on a campus around people that look like you, building relationships, and falling in love and making something happen for yourself. And I think a lot of times, you know, people get turned off by some of the lack of resources that we have on HBCU campuses and how they feel like it's great on the other side because, you know, but it was developed that way though. But guess what? It wasn't developed for us, right? It was developed for white folks. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, just because we have a little tougher sometimes and those lines at the, you know, registration might be a little longer and slower, you know, doesn't mean that we have the right to bash our institution, right? Because a lot of times there's a reason why these things are happening that has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would piggyback on that. Clint, I would extend that to that same, this line of thinking into medicine, right? When you talk about a lot of amazing individuals I went to there in primary care here in Nashville, and Black folks aren't going to see them. You know, they're at Meharry. Black folks would rather go to Vanderbilt. I work for Vanderbilt, so don't let me, you know, come to Vanderbilt if you want to. But at the same time, I'll say to you, hey, Freddie, you like that, huh?
I feel you gotta be a little diplomatic.
Yeah, man. But I'll say to you, man, that when I was finishing out of Meharry, and this, I'll even put it in more perspective. So I'm a program director. So I'm the chief of emergency radiology at Vandy, and I'm the program director of our radiology residency. When we are now looking to figure out what we can do to make sure we're adding diversity of what we're doing, we're looking at Meharry, and we're looking at Howard, and we're looking at Morehouse, because these institutions understand the amazing talent that's there, and they want to mine that top talent, right? But we as Black folks sometimes think, like, I'm gonna go to this dentist. I'm sure Dr. Banks will tell you, I'll go to this dentist over here because he probably got better training at UT Knox than Meharry. No, absolute lies, completely false. Because honestly, at Meharry, in terms of the workload, the patients they see, I know this, they may not know, their workload is significantly higher, right? The cases that they see are significantly more complex because these are people that can't get into those hospitals, right? They don't even accept them because they're on 10K. So as it relates to these things, I think, does it surprise me? No. Is it disappointing? Yes. So
and I can speak to that as far as the training is concerned, because even at the dental school, we don't have the residency programs other than oral surgery. So in order to get out of the dental school, you have to do fillings, you have to do root canals on patients, molar root canals, which endodontists do. We're doing them as students. And you have to extract at least 20 to 30 teeth. At a lot of these white dental schools, they're not doing root canals on real teeth. And they probably get out of dental school without doing extractions. That's why a lot of them end up having to do residencies after they leave the school. But as far as we're concerned, we can come out now. We don't necessarily recommend it, but we can come out and practice. And I know people who have done that they're doing quite well. So it's ignorance. It's a misnomer. It's frustrating when I hear people say things like that, and I don't feel bad checking people when they do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it really frustrates me. I mean, I get really heated having to stay out the comments and stuff. But in terms of like living conditions, you see all the time, and it really bothers me because I did go to both. I went to UT and I went to Tennessee State. I stayed on campus. And if Tennessee State has a maintenance issue, perhaps, okay, that may be going on in one of the dorms, or maybe or whatever's going on. I mean, it's gonna be all over the news. All over the news, okay, about how terrible Tennessee State is. Meanwhile, I remember being a student at UT, and guess what happened? That AC went out, and in East Tennessee, and the smoke was the heat went out, and in East Tennessee, we had to get a little heater, and you ain't supposed to have no heater in the dorms, okay? We got one because it was out for it was out a good minute. I can't even remember, it was 20 years ago, but I don't remember seeing it on the news. I don't even remember people making a big deal out of it, but Lord forbid it had been Tennessee State. Oh my God. You would have never heard the end of it. It seems like whenever a Black school has a maintenance issue, or if something's going on, we act like it doesn't happen everywhere else. Like it hadn't happened at MTSU, especially with schools that are over 100 years old. You don't think there's going to be real issues everywhere, but who's getting on the news for it? And who's getting all over Instagram and all this stuff? You're going to hear about it from us, and it's that's what gets me.
Okay. On the news, and I talk about that 500 million that Clint was talking about.
Man, yeah, where our money? What you got?
It goes back to the media, controlling the narrative. Media
living conditions with that.
Yeah, to your original question, am I surprised? No. There's been, sometimes the most hatred comes from within, unfortunately. And to Clint's point about how people will be so quick to bash a Black-owned business, but how many times do the same people go to McDonald's, broke ice cream machine, and continually go and not blast it? It's a almost a self-hatred that may be existing in some people to feel the necessity to talk about something they really know nothing about. And if they even spent just 5 minutes Googling the excellence that can come within or from within HBCU, despite the challenges. It really just talks to a testament about the resiliency that people that bring, as they're coming through their matriculation at a HBCU. And so when I saw the comments, I was like, oh, you've never been, you've never seen, you've never heard, you probably don't even have any friends that have gone for you to be making these comments, because surely if you did, you wouldn't feel comfortable making those comments. Interesting.
Yeah. So we had a comment earlier that I wanted to say for you guys to see what your opinion. In the grand scheme of things, HBCUs are not competitive. To put a title subpar takes away from having a constructive argument. We can't say it is subpar without offending someone. So again, this is another narrative that they like to spin on HBCUs, as if we're not competitive, as if the education and our degrees are not as good as a PWI. So what do you guys have to say about this?
Y'all mind if I take this one?
That's trash.
LaVelle is ready to pop.
Yeah,
I feel you. He is not playing today.
The only reason is that for me, I really try to stay in my little Harry Potter hole, and I might pop up on TSU Uncut every now and again. But what I'll say, with this, I'll say this is that 80% of Black physicians, dentists, and pharmacists come out of Howard or Meharry, just those two, right? 80% of physicians. When you talk about it, you look at engineers. North Carolina A&T is the top producer of engineers. 50% of Black lawyers come from HBCU. So I'm not understanding when they say we're not competitive at what? You can say things, but to me, you've got to have data to back it up. Maybe it's the science person in me. You can't say something qualitatively that does not have quantitative data to back it up. And I think with some of those arguments, it's just on what I've heard or what should be, but it's not actually
what I feel.
Is. Yeah.
Don't get me started.
It's insane. So I'll cut it. Go ahead, Dr.
I mean,
go ahead.
Well, I mean, just one thing. It's the somebody had brought up about how the psychology plays into it. For me, the term minority serving institutions that are often applied to HBCUs, HSIs, all the different acronyms, the word minority have empowered people to say words like this. We're not competitive, because that word minority implies we're inferior. It implies that we're not up to par. And so for me, especially in my official role, I want to strike that phrasing, that terminology out of the system, because if you are constantly hearing, oh, it's a minority, it gives the impression that it's weaker, that it's less than, that it's not competitive as, and then you get comments like we see here. But not on anything.
I hope I'm not jumping the gun, but one of the things that kind of kills me is that you have some of these pro-black people who are supposed to be so pro-black, but then go to the white man's list on how they rank schools and say, oh, well, you don't compare on this white man's list, so that therefore your school is not as good as the other school, which to me does not make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Because what criteria are we judging what's competitive and not competitive? Because I'm sure Vel can speak to this. Tell those people to come to Meharry or come to TSU or come to Morehouse campus and see if you can compete with some of the best and brightest there. They can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they don't understand that those lists are built on they're skewed. They're built on endowments.
Right.
Like an endowment is calculated into U.S. Weekly News's report. Their NIH grants that they have. Well, who do you think NIH is going to give grants to more frequently? Like, so when you're saying these things, you have to be really careful, really cautious, because you actually are more of a downer for kids like us when we're in high school than even a white person would be.
Yeah.
Because you say to yourself, man, if black folks don't believe in it, why in the world should I?
What I say, when people say not competitive, thing is that if you black, you gotta put the work in. It don't matter where you go, like you gotta work. And so the thing is when you go to HBCU, there are things available. It's just that going back to what Clint mentioned, the funding that we're missing, the pushing of stuff. So I found out about a lot of opportunities at TSU to work with ESPN and do all these different things that I did, but they were never pushed. Nobody knew about them. It was just a piece of paper on a bulletin board just sitting there that people walked back and forth, and it was like a whole bunch of like, student information, student organizations like, hey, come to the Chicago club meeting, come to the Michigan club meeting, that people would just be like, okay, that ain't nothing over there. But then this is one notice on there that's like, ESPN is hiring for this. You know what I mean? And it's stuff like that, to where like I sought these things out. And like I said, my tale of two careers at TSU, when I became Freddie B, it was totally different than at first. At first, I was just in school, just floating along. And so what a lot of Black people think, like, okay, if I graduate with Michigan behind my name, that's going to carry me. Like, I'm going to hop in. It's like, unfortunate part about it is that may get you to a point, that may get you looked at, but you got to realize that there are a bunch of other white boys, white chicks, they got Michigan behind them. So if this white man looking at you and this white boy, and y'all both got Michigan, then he going to go with him. You know what I mean? So then at the end of the day, if you black, you black. It don't matter where you go. It's about what the work that you put in. If you ain't putting in the work, then you not competitive. It has nothing to do with the school you went to and the letters behind you that's going to make you competitive. I'm competitive now because of the work I put in. When I moved to New York, like New York has a propensity, in any big city you go to, some of you guys may notice, it's like people name drop a lot. People say name, I did this, and they puff up titles. And when you dig, you like, oh, you really was an intern. You just a glorified intern. But when I came up here to New York, all the work that I put in at TSU to build up Freddie B TV and to set myself up in the city of Nashville and then leverage that to do even more in the city of Nashville, I came to New York and I started talking about the stuff that I did. People thought I was playing until they went to my YouTube and I sent them stuff like, oh, you the real deal. Like, oh, you really interviewed all these celebrities. And then like, boom, now I'm working with all these big brands and making money, like the easiest money I've ever made in my life, but that's because I put the work in. So if you black, it don't matter where you go. If you're not going to work, then you're going to be sent to the side. I know Black people went to Ohio State. They got bachelor degrees and this, that, and the third, and they a champs manager. Like, you got to put the work in, and you got to network, period. It don't matter where you go. But if that's the guy, like I said, space hopper, if that's where he wants to live, then that's where he wants to live. You know what I mean? But I think somebody said, if you don't got no friends, you didn't go to HBCU, and your friends didn't go to college, and you just going on what you see on New Year's Day when Alabama played Georgia for the national championship, and everybody get on roll tide, and you see people. There's nothing that burns me up. People with the TSU, they be talking roll tide and room for Alabama. Like, bitch, you didn't even go. Like, what's that about? But if that's all, that's a whole other story for another day. But if that's all you see, then you thinking like, oh, that's competitive, and it's like, bro, you black. Never forget that.
But not only that, to speak to is it Vel?
Yeah.
Vel, speak to your point before. What people don't understand, and this is having these conversations with they have friends who do a lot of hiring. When they go look for black talent, they don't go to the PWIs. They look. There's specific schools that they recruit from because they know when they bring these students in that they're going to be prepared. They're going to work hard, and they're not going to embarrass the school. Of course, there's always outliers, but for the most part, Morehouse, Howard, TSU, North Carolina A&T, Hampton. If you have a child that wants to go to medical school, Xavier in Louisiana. Like there's certain schools where you send your child. If you want your child to do something, you're gonna send. Now Clark Atlanta University for journalism. If you're trying to get in television, you send your child there. You know they're gonna make it. And so a lot of people don't realize when they're looking for black talent, they go to where the black people are.
They really do, and I don't think a lot of people understand too. Working in corporate America is that particular fact. Working in HR and understanding that, like, we would bring people there specifically to hire because we have to have black people here. We're wanting diversity, and they're not going to PWIs. They are looking for HBCU students. And what they've learned is that once we get these students, these are the hard workers. A lot of those PWI students are entitled, and they've never had to work while they're in school, mom and daddy taking care of it. And then that goes over in the job and not wanting to show up and things like that. So I know a whole lot of times in my job, we was like, who you got at TSU? And again, that goes in with the networking.
We also learned how to think back of what we're saying is that, and it's truthful. Like sometimes you're going to have to do more with less. at an HBCU. But guess what? In your job, for most people, what do they ask you? They ask you to do more with less. Like with the least amount. That's how you get profit margins.
Think outside the box.
Yes, absolutely. But one thing I did want to say, one place we haven't shot it out yet that's here in Nashville, we got to Fisk. I know a lot of people from Fisk that are doing a lot of amazing things, so I definitely want to shout them out too.
Absolutely. So let me answer this, because this was a question that I kept getting about name one HBCU that is Black owned, though. So let me get the people together, okay? Because I come with the facts. HBCUs.
Come on.
Well, this is not. We're not going to do that today. Okay, public schools and non-for-profit private schools do not have owners. So let's get this out of our heads. Well, HBCUs, they ain't owned by nobody Black, and they ain't owned by nobody Black.
Is that a serious question though?
I think so.
Yes, but you'll be surprised.
Well, his last name is Simp.
I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that's serious. Cause like colleges, like I thought everybody knows that a college isn't owned like a business.
No. Well, here's the thing. Everybody.
Who am I?
Right. So these are questions that I kept getting to debunk when I'm talking about the Black excellence of HBCUs. Well, ain't none of them Black owned. Well, so, sometimes you got to break it down for the people. So I wanted to get him together real quick.
Bless him. Bless his heart.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess to that, like to Will Simp, only things that have owners are for profit, because they got to produce a profit. Like even nonprofits don't have owners; they have like boards, and they have a director, but the director got to follow what the board sets up, and the board is multiple people. But so to own something, that means it's for profit. And colleges, except for the ones that got sued, ITT Tech, Everest, all those, I don't know about those, but that's kind of how that works. But HBCU education.
Unfortunately, our culture is 400 years behind on being able to establish, our own universities and build them up into, what some of these PWIs are now, right? But I'm gonna tell you what we do have, what we do own, and that's the actual institution of power on those campuses, right? So if you read Dr. Clark Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth, he talks about the power of institution. Going to an HBCU, every homecoming, you see the power of our institution. We can come together. We can show, how united we can cause change. When we're on campus, if there's an issue with housing, if there's an issue with something, that the students have a problem with, they can get together, walk to the president's front door, and guess what? Changes will be made. On your PWI campus, you and your Black student leaders group get together, and guess what? They ain't trying to hear you. They're going to push you. The president's not going to meet with you. They're going to push you to the student affairs and have them deal with you, right? But as as young Black students, we become leaders together as one, growing to learn how, as a culture, working together, we can cause change. And we can do that on HBCU campus and own that power to where we can't own that power on a PWI.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, so let me look at, I'm gonna bring a clip up of this gentleman, so you guys listen to it and tell me what your thoughts on it is. Let's share my screen.
They monitor these groups, and they literally opine every now and then. A buddy of mine who's a Juilliard grad and has tons of CDs and tons of artists out there. He trolls the groups, and so he and I talk about HBCU grads, and so we had a conversation last month. And some oil and gas buddies of mine. And we were like, the oil and gas guys are mad at me because I can navigate the white world easily. It takes me 2 seconds. I can knock on a door. I can create a program in 5 minutes in oil and gas, but it takes them like a year because I know how to speak to white people because I did my entire life. I went to private schools and then I went to Harvard. It's very difficult for them. to do so. I worked for the FBI. It took me a year and a half to get up to the upper echelons of the financial offices, and I was literally the guy to speak to all the folks in the financial office of the FBI. It took me like a year and a half, but it took them a long time to do that because they didn't have the linguistic dexterity to actually make it that high. So the questions we always have is it a hindrance to go to an HBCU? Should I send my daughter to you call it a PWI? You don't call it that. Should we send them to those colleges or send them to black colleges? That's a
basically show that you have a master's in code switching. Okay, listen, it sounds like an English 101 class. He to me, it didn't feel like anything came across, but he had the ability in his career to have to code switch, and he did it very, very well. And I don't know who hasn't been able to do it, just being a black person, period. I mean, I really couldn't relate to anything he was saying. It could be
So he said one or two things in there that we don't know how to talk to white people, so that's why we can't further. Maybe in our career it's taken us a lot longer. And then he also kind of referenced, because these guys went to an HBCU, maybe they couldn't do the work as efficient as he could because he went to a PWI. And again, these are black folks saying this about our schools.
I feel bad for him. I don't think he represents I just don't think he represents the HBCU experience, you know.
I mean, what I would say is he didn't master code switching. There's no code switching with him. Like the thing is, he not switching. The thing. That's why when you said that, I made that face, because he didn't, like, we might code switch. We can, get you a man or a woman that could do both. He can't do both. He sounds like one of those people that essentially sold his soul. He doesn't have any black culture. He's black in skin. But I'm sure you guys as well have met black people who don't understand black culture. They don't subscribe to black culture. Black American culture is not in them. They subscribe to white American culture and a generic white American culture, because when you get to a particular white person, they still know their history. So they know German, English, French, Italian, or whatever like that. Like I'm on tour, my co, she's Italian. She's white, but she knows her lineage is Italian. So she got that Italian culture. So it's more specialized. Somebody like him, he can't do that. So he just subscribes to a generic white culture, which is empty, which is like mayonnaise, which is like white rice. There's no substance there. And so he essentially, he essentially sold his soul. He sold his soul for a check. He sold his soul for a check to rise in the ranks of business. And that's it. And when you look at life, you look at the whole totality of life. Like, what is life about? Life is more than just moving up the ranks in a business and making money. Because after that, then what? When you look back, like, there's so many old people, when they look back on their life, they die prematurely because they look back on their life and they're ashamed of their life. They got regrets. They're like, yo, like, this ain't me. And their soul is eaten up inside. Like, he's talking about all this, like, that is the totality of life. When you have culture, you can go back to something. You can reference something. You have a sense of self. And that doesn't sound like what it is, because it's all comical to him that I was in the FBI and I moved up in a year and a half. Okay, and then what? Because you got so many people who have culture, who understand black culture, who can code switch, who moved up in the FBI in 3 years. 3 years, 1.5 years. What's the difference? Like, what's the gain? Like, what did you gain?
Hey man, that dude, man, I had to go and get, like, fill up my cup of bourbon here, man. That dude, let me tell you about that dude. For me, and the reason is that, like, I interact with those gentlemen all the time, and if you listen, you can't play it back. He said "I" a lot of times, and he said "them" a lot of times, and that is his mindset, and that's how he feels. The issue with someone like that is he might climb the ranks, but he's not bringing anybody with him. And when he gets to the top, the people at the top of business right now, the buzzword is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they're trying to reach out and find young Black folks that they can bring into the company and diversify. And guess what he can't do? He can't help them in that regard. And guess what they'll do to his ass? Get rid of him. Because they're going to bring in somebody Black that can actually help them diversify. That's why he's talked about 4 different jobs that he had, is because he can get to the top, but he can't stay there. Ooh. Because ultimately you have to have some type of culture about you and understand our people, right? So that you can actually help the enterprise. Because at the end of the day, you're working for an enterprise. And what are they trying to do? PR, right? Mm-hmm. They're trying to make sure that from a PR standpoint, there's nothing that pops up that says, you know what, this company is not doing what they need to do to be progressive in today's America. That dude's not going to help you, right? Somebody like Clint Gray, who's built his own company, right, from the bottom up, that went to HBCU, they're going to say, hey, Clint, listen, I know that's a lucrative business for you, but I want to buy you out of that, not to even work in that pizza business with you. I want to bring you to Amazon so that you can help us figure out how we can navigate and do something similar to that here from a marketing standpoint. How in the world did you do that shit?
It's a comedian. Real quick, famous comedian Paul Mooney said, every nigga gonna have a nigga wake-up call. He ain't had his nigga wake-up call yet.
Right, and I'll take it to your point. Probably if you drop him off around a bunch of Black people, he'll probably have his wake up call in. He probably
he would never position himself. I don't even know this guy. He wouldn't do that. He would position himself.
And stuff like that is kind of frustrating because you like me. I know people like that. They won't come around Black people, but they'll try to find a space that's comfortable for them, and then they'll slide in and slide all that stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy to me, man. It's crazy. This ignorance at its finest.
So is he invited to homecoming or nah?
Hell no. He ain't coming.
No matter of fact, let's drop squad him and invite him to homecoming. Maybe we can give him some culture.
Okay.
Right, I'm with that. He need to come.
Right, he needs to come. So, does anyone else have anything they want to add to that clip before I show something else? Because it gets better.
Lord.
Well, I'm here. I'm telling you. I also watched some of that. I'm like, oh.
They would have roasted his ass outside Watson Hall.
Quick.
In the sub and everything.
Right. We would have came running from Elks. Talk about what's up. We got you. All right, let me play this.
Mom said that she want him to go to a HBCU because she want him to have that Black experience, right? And then she really believed this in her fucking head. Like, okay, so I said, you want him to go to a subpar school, and I'm just being honest, where he's getting phone calls from colleges. You want to send him to a subpar school to get a so-called Black experience?
Why is it subpar?
It's subpar like hell to all the other schools you have access to, and what his mom in her mind, what she's doing. Like I'm saying, look.
Can you? What are the schools?
Like what schools specifically?
Yeah. What schools are you talking about?
It sounds like your baby
went to an HBCU. I can hear y'all. If you want to call Howard subpar, you're wrong. If you want to call Spelman subpar, Morehouse subpar, Lost, and Lost. So those are not subpar schools.
So hold on.
And depending on the particular school that you're going to, whether it's for nursing and engineering, where they have one of the highest rates of graduates, period, some of them are HBCUs. So before we call a school subpar, what are we comparing it to? What school?
Yeah, are you talking about like data?
Let's look at the graduation rate of those particular schools as well. So I don't know, just because it's a Black school doesn't mean it's subpar.
All right. Now, I'm gonna answer your question. I don't care about the graduation rates.
Okay, so what is it based on? What data?
Y'all gonna let him answer? I'm trying to answer our question. About it. So my son, he's going to school. He's going to school for finance, right? Google the top schools of finance and tell me one HBCU that's in the top 10. So yes,
you said I can tell you nursing, I can tell you engineering.
But I didn't say he's going to school for nursing.
But that's what I'm asking.
Wait. See, this is an issue, right? This is an issue what we're dealing with, right? If you looking out for your child, do you want the best for your child or you want the best for you? Because see, my kid's mom, she wasn't thinking about him. She was thinking about what she wanted for him. Because he been going to white schools all his life. Most of his friends is white. She wanted him to be in a position that me and her was in. To be around some. No, that's insane. You will send him to a subpar school in his field of finance. He's not going to school to be a nurse. You will send him a subpar school, and your reason for doing that is because you want him to get a black experience.
That's a fair point.
You said the top 10. Okay, so there's probably like 2,200 universities across the country. I don't know if that's still an accurate number.
Yes, sir.
So you're telling me if they're not in the top 10 that you found on Google, they're subpar?
He told you to Google it.
Say this at Kayla.
No, because that's the context he gave. That's the data he said. He said, type in Google.
Okay, I'm gonna do this for you, right?
So my question, are you saying that if it doesn't come up?
I got it for you, right? I got it for you, right here. Say you had a son.
No, I just want to know. Yes or no?
No, listen. Say you had a son. He wanted to go to school to be a lawyer. He got offers from Morehouse and Harvard. What would you tell your son to do?
Again. No, I'm not going to answer your question because I just asked you a question and you decided that you're going to ask me a question. So, what? No. You don't want to answer my question, then it's okay.
Go ahead and repeat the question, ma'am. I'm sorry.
If, based on what you said, if out of all the universities in the country, you put in the top 10 that came up on Google, are you saying that if it's not in the top 10, that it's a subpar school?
No, what I'm saying, in the field of finance.
In the field of finance, if it's not in the top 10, are you saying it's a subpar school?
If it's not in the top 10, once you start getting there, you got, you know what I'm saying, you got advisors, you got everything. Then that's why I gave you the analogy. Because see, I'm answering your question. That's why I gave you the analogy.
So you said your answer was no.
What?
Your answer was no. I just want to make sure I'm clear.
It's no.
Okay.
All right.
So then
now, the thing I was saying, hold up. Because the thing I was saying is you going to do what's best for your child? Or is you going to push your emotions and your values on that child and therefore put him at a disadvantage? Because I don't care who you is. You can be in Douglas High School in Atlanta, hoodest school in the world, and I went there, and guess what? You had a scholarship to go to Harvard, and you had a scholarship to go to Morehouse. Even the most ratchet person will tell you to go to Harvard.
Well, that was a lot.
That was painful.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It took a lot of energy to listen to that.
Yes.
I'm like your boy in the corner that was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is why I had to slide it. Well, I shouldn't say
Yeah,
slide.
that's how we started talking because of this. And so it was a lot in this show. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, for the idea first, not understanding, Morehouse to Harvard, let's talk. Ivy League schools are in a whole different spectrum from other particular schools. So that
right, exactly, and I can speak to that because my wife got into Fisk and she got into Harvard.
Yeah,
she chose Fisk. She's board certified internal medicine and practicing women's health medicine right now. So it's like you can't just look at the name. You don't look at which has the best name. You look at, if I send my child to this school, who's going to graduate my child and do the best they can to let my child get to where they need to go. And we know, depending on, I can speak to medicine and dentistry, and we know that Xavier University in New Orleans, Spelman, Morehouse, Howard. I can go on and on. That's where you want to send your kids to if you want them to get there. Now, if you want them to just have a name and they may or may not get to school, then you send them to the white school.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing to keep in mind here is like, oh boy, I would listen to him. Like, I'm originally from Atlanta, so I'm listening to him talking. I'm listening to his accent. I'm like, is he from Atlanta? Then he mentioned Douglas. I'm like, oh, he's from Atlanta, and I know what Douglas is. And then he said he went to Douglas High School. And the thing like to keep in mind when you have conversations like this, so you don't get in like, because the thing is, it's like Clint, for example. I use Clint. Clint has a business. They expanding. They got all these different cities. Clint probably wouldn't get in a business conversation or competition with somebody who's selling hot wings out their house. Does that make sense? It's like you selling hot wings at your house. Like I got 2 places in Nashville. I got a place in Atlanta. I got a place in Chattanooga. I'm in the West Coast. Like I'm not in your league. Like, you know, they could chirp and however they want, but it's like he probably would be like, cool, you know, do your thing. God bless you, and keep it moving because it's not worth his time. And so like listening to him, it's like, okay, where is he speaking from up here? Like we went to HBCUs. We've been, you know, some have been HBCUs and PWIs, have been on campuses. We've been in the professional world. This man, I would ask him, I don't know him. I would ask him, like, what degrees, what colleges you've been to, what colleges you attend, your friends, so on and so forth. So I understand what's the conversation we can have. If he tells me I didn't go to college and I didn't have that experience and none of my friends went to college, I'm from the hood, I'm from the dirt, and this, that, and the third, we can't have a conversation. Like, what conversation can we have? Because he's going off what he's seen on TV. I'm going off me being in the mix of HBCU, me being on campuses, me being in the real world. I'm going off real world experiences that I'm speaking about. And I know people personally who went to HBCUs who big time. I know people at HBCUs ain't nothing. I know people went to PWIs who ain't nothing. I know people went to PWIs was something. I know the whole gamut. So this guy right here, you know, he was talking about him and his wife, they were around black people, and you could tell he values white people more than black people. So it's like having a college conversation. Like, that's pointless because he actually values white skin more than black skin. That's a whole deeper situation that you got to address with him before you even get to HBCUs and PWI.
Man, the irony is I was a finance major, right?
They're working out, right?
This the crazy thing. I think that he was speaking out of ignorance, right? And you know, a lot of people do that. He was advocating the brand of Harvard, right? But the question, you know, he was proposing is about the, you know, longevity and the career of his child, right? And many times people got to understand it's not about the school that is going to determine that. It's about the opportunities that the kid takes while he's in school. Yep. You know, there's so many HBCUs right now, especially because, man, we're a hot commodity right now. You just talked about DEI and the fact that people are searching for black talent to include in their organizations. So the real question you should be asking is not whether or not Morehouse or Harvard, you know, which one to choose between the two, but which school has the pipelines within the major to be able to assure that your child can get involved and put itself in position to get the opportunity once they graduate, right? So it's like, you know, when we were in school within Tennessee State College of Business, there were different internships that were available. I remember one of my frat brothers, Will Bush, was super deep into, you know, interviewing through, I think it was like the third Good Marshall program, something they were in, that was all about putting them with top financial firms when they graduated, right? And so, you know, he would intern with these large corporations, you know, over the course of the summertime. That might have been an opportunity that either he was matched up with another Caucasian from like a Harvard or another, you know, Ivy League school, but he got the same opportunity to show his value because he went to a school that had the pipeline that could direct him to where he wanted to go. And so it's not about whether or not it's a, you know, in the conversation they were having, it's not about, you know, HBCU versus PWI. It's about diving deeper into the majors at these schools to see, hey, if my son wants to study finance, like what does that finance department have available at the time for him to be able to reach out to the moment he steps on the campus and make sure he's involved to put himself in a position to win in the end.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off what Clint said, I have a son. I have a 13-year-old who will be going into high school. So my next 4 years, we're tunnel vision, college bound. And we talk about college since he was little. I am and his father are very big advocates of him going to an HBCU, if not for nothing, at least undergrad experience, because, you can talk about the academics, of it all, but what's important to me also is the mental experience as a young Black man going into these schools and being set up for success or failure. I mean, we see it on the news all the time. A lot of our young Black boys go to these PWIs, they get caught up in some rape scandal, you be in the wrong place at the wrong time. They can't wait to kick you right out of there. You may not even did anything. And you don't have any opportunity, any representation. And I just want him to mentally be in a place where he can grow and feel safe. And right now in this atmosphere, while these laws changing and no more conceal and carry, anybody can get a gun, they shooting up schools left and right, at least for me as a mother, I feel they're even hanging people, putting nooses on these schools and all this crazy stuff that's going on. Listen, I personally feel more comfortable knowing that whether my son goes to DC and at Howard, that he's at least around people that are like him, where he can grow in a safe space, at least for this period of time, to where he can get strong. So when he hits that outside world, he's ready,
I would tell you, speaking from like what he mentioned Harvard and he mentioned the HBCU. That's my life, right? I'm being real with you. That's my life. I did my intern year at Harvard, right? Harvard Hospital. And this is what I'll say to you, is that I can tell you emphatically, not one of those four brothers at the top of that screen has stepped foot on Harvard's campus. Nope. Because if they had, what they would tell you is, and I'm not saying that based off of what they look like or how they talk, that's a whole different, but anybody that's Black that's been on Harvard will tell you Harvard is not shit. It's brick buildings. Harvard looks like the projects. I'm not it does. It's brick buildings. But you know what's the difference? You know what they do? They say that is culture. That shows you it's old. And it shows you the origination of the institution, and we want to keep it authentic, right? But when we do that at TSU, it means shit's run down, right? Like they have the same issues. These buildings are, as Clint was talking earlier, these buildings are 300 years old, right? And the whole thing, they keep them up, but there is definitely issues that are, that occur within those buildings and where they live. But the whole thing is that, it's authentic. I'm going through this experience, this Harvard experience that everyone else, Zuckerberg has gone through, and all these people, they just frame it different. And it sounds great, but it's still, and forgive me, but like I think about some of the plumbing issues I heard about it at TSU, it's still the same shitty issues, right? But what I would tell you, man, is that ultimately, as it relates to Harvard, TSU, it goes back to opportunity. When you're talking about your kid, it's about opportunity. And Harvard sounds nice, but let me tell you this: when you go to Harvard and you're in your, biology 1, Chem 1 class, we all took it, right? If you Kappa Alpha Psi Omega, Alpha, whatever, I'm definitely gonna say Kappa first, but whatever you look towards, those fraternities aren't as prominent on those campuses, if they exist at all. But Kappa Delta, Alpha Chi, whatever they are, and guess what? When you go to take that test in their houses, the Alpha Chi house, they've got the test. What class you taking? Okay, let me show you. Here you go. This is the answer key for test 1, test 2, test 3, right? But if you're Black, you don't have access to those answer keys, right? And so when you're saying, I want to be a physician, and you go to Harvard, you're not working 2 times as hard, as which we all know you have to do. You're working 10 times as hard, but guess what? You don't have access to the resources that they do because you wanted to go to Harvard. You get what I'm saying? Versus when I listened to Freddie talk, and we'll go back to this, one thing he said, he got to campus, he was 16. Man, let me tell you, there were real people, real G's that helped raise him. He was 16. They took him under their wing and they became the big homies and made sure, you know what, I'm going to make sure nothing happens to you, right? I want to make sure you have the ability to grow. He wouldn't have had that if he went to Cornell, if he went to Harvard. He's competing against those people and they're pissed off because saying, well, why the hell are you here at 16, right? If you're 16, that means you're a brainiac. You should know how to do this shit on your own, right? It's a completely different vibe, completely different experience that you have. And so, Freddie, I agree with you when you said if you you had gone to Cornell, you might not be you. I agree with you wholeheartedly because I've seen it and I can tell you probably wouldn't be. But I'm proud of who you are now. So, 100%.
And I want to say this too, like it's those type of mindsets that hurt the ability of our culture to graduate, build organizations that are filled with Black talent. Mm-hmm. Right. So, for example, like he mentioned, he went to Douglas High School in Atlanta. I had the pleasure of being able to go to, mixed high schools, all Black middle school. You know what I'm saying? Like I went from back and forth throughout my educational experience, right? And I can truly tell you that there's nothing more powerful than being in a room in a higher institution of learning that's filled with like sharp Black minds, right? That can push you to the next level. And you don't have to worry about somebody trying to snub your opinion or twist your words because everything is just real, right? And like even for us as we grow and build our organization, like we're blessed to be able to have someone like a Marie as a project manager at our company, right? And we have others that's just as talented as Marie, and we're building an organization based on Black talent because we come from an environment that's all it was, mm-hmm. right? And we know how sharp we can be and how much we can build just doing it together. But when you have those type of ideologies that you have to go to a white institution to get the best education, man, you are missing everything the culture needs to push forward once you graduate.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, let me bring something up too, because Lavelle, you brought it up as far as the percentages of doctors that come out of HBCUs. But I saw this and I wanted to share before I go to another clip that I want to discuss. HBCUs are responsible for 75% of the Black PhDs, 46% of the Black business executives, 50% of Black engineers, 80% of Black federal judges, 85% of Black doctors, 50% of Black attorneys, 75% of Black military officers, 40% of Black dentists, 50% of Black pharmacists, and 75% of Black veterinarians. So when we talk about Black excellence, and the thing is, which people don't realize, there's majority of Black folks go to PWIs. So that gets missed in the sauce, which people don't understand. We are, all of this greatness, majority of doctors, lawyers, veterinarians, dentists, all executives coming out of HBCUs. However, the majority of Black folks go to PWI. So what does that tell you? Wow. It's not slawness that you're getting when you go to these schools. It's greatness that we produce. And it's because we hold each other accountable. Yeah. When I see you and I see you slacking, well, you out here rough. Let's get it together. We hold each other accountable at these schools, and we continue still to hold each other accountable. If I'm not on my shit, best believe old Sharika ass is gonna be like, "What's going on with you?" All day, girl, get off my phone. But this is things that, again, because we're family, so.
Yeah. And one thing, Courtney, I didn't see that statistic there, but like as it relates to HBCUs, we make up, I think it's like 3% of all colleges, but we represent 25% of Black college graduates, right? It's crazy. Oh, my bad.
Don't play me.
My bad. I'm jumping gun. I'm telling you,
this is some more stuff that I found. All right. So according to the U.S. Department of Education, HBCUs comprise approximately 2.3%, which is 105 out of 4,495 colleges and universities in the U.S. of all institutions of higher education. Yet HBCUs graduates 25% of our African American professionals. 50% of African Americans who graduate from an HBCU go to graduate or professional schools. 8 out of 10 African Americans who go to pursue a PhD or HBCU graduates, and HBCU graduates 75% more African Americans than non-HBCUs. So you are absolutely correct. HBCUs are very minimal. 105 out of almost 5,000. And then you have the audacity to say schools are subpar if they're not out the 100. I think Howard ranked in general was like 126 as far as the top schools out of the nation, out of 5,000. And let's think about, if you've been to Howard campus, rough. And they're having problems too. But however, these students are able to fight through that and get their education and graduate at higher rates and pursue higher education, getting PhDs, becoming doctors. Like, what are we talking about? What you're not going to do is come for the HBCUs.
Right. And maybe if Dr. Dre would have gave his gift to, he could have spread the gift he gave to USC out to all the probably 10, 20, maybe even 100 schools. And that probably would have made more of an impact and be better for us keeping our resources. And we would have resources, but for whatever reason, when people give money, they want to give them to the white schools.
Well, did he go to college?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, I think most black people, if you don't go to college, you kind of just going off TV. He's from LA, so USC in the recent history been big. So it's just like I said, it's about the programming that's sent. You know what I mean? Going back to like the guy was talking about the list. You look on Google and you look at the list. Like my thing, like some media, I'm looking at what's being fed. I can see how things are manipulated. Anytime I read something, whatever it is, I'm looking at the source, like the website. People just go to a website and then see something, but you got to understand what else has the website written and who's behind it, who's funding it. But that's a big part. Whoever's funding it, who's paying the bills, they can manipulate the journalistic integrity of this particular outlet. And then now we live in an internet age where you got 50 million websites that are supposed to be officials. They be having typos and everything, grammatical errors. So it's like the barrier to entry to have journalistic integrity has been lowered. And so people will just pull articles like, oh, look online, like US News and Report. Who's the investor? Like who's behind the website? Once you pull that up, then stuff start to make more sense. You know what I mean? And I've noticed this lately. I mean, it's off subject with the whole COVID thing. Like each people pull whatever headline they want to fit their narrative. But then when you look at the website, look where it's coming from, and then you can understand why they're saying what they're saying. Like usually all you gotta do is follow the dollar, follow the money, and you'll see how things are manipulated to lay out a certain adage.
Yeah.
That's right. I do want to say thank you for everybody for having me on here. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so I do have to get off. Like got to get ready to go to work tomorrow. But I
understand. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
From a Maroon Tiger to a TSU Tiger. You guys
hey.
Salute.
Appreciate you, man.
I'm also going to drop. I'm also on the East Coast. Courtney, thank you so much for inviting us. This has been a great experience. So great to be around fellow alum. I look forward to supporting all y'all in y'all endeavors and can't wait to see y'all later.
Likewise.
Bye.
Bye.
Salute, Doc.
All right.
Well, hey, Corey, I would say one thing. Some of the stuff we're talking about tonight, and this might be a little specific to our institution, but really, I don't necessarily care. But this is why on TSU Uncut, some of these forums that we have. To me, I'm very much. We have to build up what we have. There's flaws, okay, but we have to build up and encourage that which we have, because in those forums are also students sometimes, or potential students' parents. And so we got to make sure that we say the positives. There are going to be negatives to any institution in the world. But man, I'll tell you, there's no institution like the one I went to. So
you better preach a word. You came with it tonight. Well, I don't know what you must be on that guidance. Okay.
Robert Job, shout out.
Right. All right, I'm going to show one more clip. Yeah, like I said, it was the same show. It was interesting. Let's see.
Now I'm gonna give you another real life experience. So I'm gonna knock this upside the head, right?
Don't do it like
Yes, I'm fit to. I was in Army ROT instructor for University of North Carolina and for a North Carolina A&T, right? It was no comparing the two. Half of my students that was in ROTC freshmen, before they made it to their junior year, they got pregnant. So now if you want to get into the real, we can get into the real. And then the thing about this is that if you go to UNC, it's just that they just had a different level of responsibility because of they tribe held them to a different standard than North Carolina A&T. It was no tribe. So not just pregnancy rate, the partying was, I don't understand how these kids did it, but they partied. And I'm going to give you another example. They partied and they was having orgies, unprotected sex on both ends. And you know, only one end came out with kids. So like I said, that Black experience got a lot of daggers to come with it. And I don't want my son in it. It is a subpar environment.
Well, it definitely is not. Being that I graduated from an HBCU and I didn't get pregnant and I wasn't in orgies and I don't know anyone that was in orgies in an HBCU. So it's not subpar. Matter of fact, the men that I know, the women that I know that are doctors and lawyers also graduated from an HBCU. As a matter of fact, the majority of Black people, the majority of
oh my God,
that are Black, the majority of lawyers, Black, come from HBCUs. So HBCUs are actually amazing for Black people that go because they are the ones that are pushing out doctors, lawyers.
But are y'all discounting what his experience, what he just said?
But that's his experience. That's not my experience. So we can fight on experience.
Hey, Chicago Rilla is all of us right now.
Discounting his experience just because y'all went to HBCUs. Because two things can be true at the same time.
No, you're absolutely right. No, we're not. We're just giving our experience as well.
I'm just pushing back on the subpar. I'm not going to accept that.
But see, y'all get
his experience. Like y'all whatever it can be, he can do whatever he wants with his son. But what I'm not going to do is accept you saying that HBCUs are subpar. I'm not going to.
It's not about accepting. But do you understand what he's saying? I mean, listen, the one thing that Kay has brought to this show, and I will give her the utmost credit.
No, we'll stop it right there. And that's not the first time that I heard that HBCUs are just known as party schools, but I've never heard that we're known for orgies and being pregnant and popping out, babe. But this is, again.
Listen. I ended up at TSU. I'm going to be completely transparent. Mm-hmm. Went with a full scholarship. I failed out of UT. Okay. Clearly, I wasn't stupid. I got a full scholarship. I failed out of UT. Do you know why I failed out of UT? I wasn't having orgies, but I was partying.
To be like orgies?
Okay. I was partying. I went to UT. I was 17. I had the time of my life. Okay. Now, I wasn't having party orgies, but let me tell you, the white girls next door in the dorm, the stories I could tell you about Mitzi and the Tri-Deltas, don't even get me started, okay? They was doing things I never even heard of at 17 years old. I can believe it. I was like, oh, girl, you nasty. Like, I didn't know what was happening, okay? They were bug wild, okay? Do you hear me? Mm-hmm. Bug wild, okay? And I had to come home. I went to TSU. Okay. Now, did we party? Yes. Okay. But I just think that's part of the college experience too. But also my friends were different too. They were a lot like me. We partied, but we pumped each other brakes like, girl, we got class. Let's go. We're done. Like, you know, we still kind of we kept each other in check and we kept each other accountable because we had we had goals. So what he's talking about, it was completely opposite from what I saw and experienced.
Yeah, I mean, like from what I know, it's anecdotal, but like for PWIs, like I know people personally who are in AA to this day because in school, like when they graduated, this one chick I met, black chick, she went to PWI and she she about to graduate senior week when they going up to like finals and they get ready to be done. She took every drug in the book. Like her and her friend taking every drug you could think of. Like not even talking about just marijuana, drinking alcohol, I'm talking about smoking crack, heroin, LSD, meth. They did it all. And I was with her with some other friend. They was talking about it, and she like that's how she ended up AA. Because then afterwards she kept like dibbling dabbling in crack. I'm like crack. Like y'all niggas was smoking crack at this school, graduating with a degree. Like it's nuts. But what I want to say is, really, to be honest, that's neither here nor there when we talking about college, because that has to do with you, your upbringing, who you are, your parents, your tribe, your culture, and your environment. That ain't got nothing to do with the college. Like he's talking like colleges are supposed to parent the kids. Like you going to college, is partying there. What you get into is what you get into, and also these colleges are in larger cities. So it's not like you trapped on the college. You can't leave the campus and can't be in the city where you are. You know, Tennessee State is in Nashville. That's a whole metropolitan city that you can go to parties and you're not on campus. You can get into stuff that ain't got nothing to do with TSU. And that's any school. You go to the UT Knoxville. Knoxville is a college town. Alabama, Tuscaloosa, like those colleges run that city. So, you know, you go out to the city, like they ain't got nothing to do with the school. So what you're talking about is neither here nor there. Because when you're talking about HBCUs versus PWIs, like we talking about the educational opportunities of what Clint was saying before, like the opportunity pipeline to get you where you need to get to so you can get the bag.
Man, he sounded kind of like a hater a little bit, you know, like the fun. He sounded kind of like the fun police. You know what I'm saying? Like
the fun police.
It's like he don't want his son to go nowhere. He doesn't want his son to go to college and have a good time. He's got this idea in his mind that his son's gonna go to college and be straight by the book and get this great job when he comes out because he went to this PWI, right? And it's like it's not how things happen. One thing that I think that, you know, the other piece you have to address too is, you know, institutional racism on these campuses. I mean systematic racism on these campuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, my mentor, Daryl Friedman, just called out the whole board of trustees at MTSU and how they're trying, you know, how they've shown a blind eye to racism on their campus for years, right? And it's like, you know, I think back on a professor that saw the value in me at Tennessee State, and he saw how, you know, I might have been partying a little bit too much and having too much fun and was slacking off in the classroom. And he pulled me to the side and had a real conversation with me to see where my mind was and got me back on track, right? And that's saying it nicely, you know what I'm saying? But would that same professor at a PWI do that for my child? I don't know. You know what I mean? What I do know is that at HBCU, yeah, you're going to party, you're going to have fun. But it goes back to what Courtney was saying about the accountability that you have with your peers and your roommates. Man, we had this thing, you know, my dorm room, I got it tatted on me, 3318, my apartment in the NRC. It was me, my two business partners, Demo and EJ, and one of my closest friend, Alan McMurray. Mm-hmm. All of us Alpha Theta noobs now. All of us very successful. One who works for the government, but that guy was talking about the FBI, you know, stuff. Mm-hmm. That guy works for the government and tech, does very well. He's not concerned about, you know, changing his voice up and making sure that, you know, his coworkers are comfortable with, you know, with how he sounds. But we used to have this thing where, you know, we went to party the next day, like we knew each other's schedules, right? We knew your class schedule because it was just repetition. You know, you were gone this time during the day. So if I walked past your room on campus, in our apartment on campus, and I saw you were there at 8 o'clock you know, on a Thursday, you know what I'm saying, 8 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, and I knew you had class, I'm fucking with you. Hey man, like you throwing it all away. We had to say, like, man, throwing it all away. You know, so as I'm walking out the door, and I know you heard me, and that made you get your ass up, you know what I'm saying, and take and go to class. And like, you know, at HBCU, man, your friends, your peers, your fraternity, sorority, brothers and sisters, like you hold each other accountable. So yeah, you're gonna have fun, but you learn how to manage that fun, because you know, if you don't, then you ain't gonna be able to manage it once you graduate. So I just feel like a lot of people make statements about HBCUs. They have no knowledge about the experience whatsoever, and they're some of the loudest to do it. And I think that's what gives us a bad rap a lot of times.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, that that show was interesting. The couple of shows that I showed.
Was that all from the same show? All 3 clips?
No, there was one clip from another one, and then 2. And actually, let me pull somebody up because he was on one of the shows. My big bro, what up, Rilla?
Rilla.
Like, Rilla was stressed on
man. You was
bro,
and you was like, man, I don't even want to engage this shit.
Yo, did you peep that?
Yes.
I appreciate it. I see the Hillman. I see the Hillman. It came through when you was in that top.
Listen,
he was over it.
I had to apologize to Court because I was like, yo, I know I would have wanted to say something, but I felt it was more important for people who are from those HBCUs who have that experience, and ladies were doing their thing, and there's no, you know, shot at nobody else, but you know, my time in Atlanta, one of the first things I did was I spent a lot of time on that AUC campus, fam. I feel like I'm an honorary Panther from Clark, Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So it was insane for me to see. Y'all have no idea what it's like for a nappy-headed simp beta male from south side of Chicago to come to that Clark Atlanta campus and see a different world. You looking at Dwayne Wayne, Whitley Gilbert, Denise Huxtable. You understand what I'm saying? You looking at Freddie like in real life.
Not Denise now, you know.
Oh
Denise.
yeah, Denise Huxtable was there. You dig what I'm saying? and here's the other thing that I don't think people realize. I think is it Clint? I think you were just speaking to the networking piece. Here's something that I don't think people realize in Atlanta in particular. When you look at because Clark Atlanta primarily is known for like entertainment and communications. When you look at the alumni that came out of there, some of the most famous music executives behind the scenes have come out of Clark Atlanta and are killing it and have been killing it for decades. Some of the dopest leaders and doctors and educators that have come out of Morehouse and Spelman, like, you know, anyway, I really just wanted to pull up and say, what up, Court? You know, I had to come on now.
I see you with the helmet.
Yeah. Listen, I got colors too. I got options. I just wanted to pull up and salute.
All right. Thank you, big bro. I appreciate you. Now, while he mentioning, you know, had to showcase some of the greatness that HBCUs has produced with the Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, Samuel Jackson. We have Langston Hughes. Of course, some of the schools that they're on there where they graduated from: Morehouse, Lincoln University. What we got? So it's Booker T. Washington, Nikki Giovanni, shout out Fisk University. There you go, Lavelle. We got Ralph Ellingson, Chadwick Bowman, rest in peace. Thurgood Marshall, rest in peace. Felicia Rashad. Come on, David Banner, Keenan Ivory Wayans. I see you, rest in peace. John Lewis. We have so many prominent. Now, this is my TSU page.
Let's see Tennessee State.
This is my TSU page, baby.
Let's see Tennessee State. We number 21 trumps them all.
Yeah, because that show was like,
that's right. Come on,
come on now.
Y'all see, I put little G. That's little Gary from Silk.
Yeah.
There's a meeting in my bedroom.
Yes, little G. That's TSU right there. Wilma Rudolph and Maurice Wright. Well, y'all know that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, I mean, this is just a small amount of prominent leaders, actors that has came out of HBCU. So, again, please tell me, where is Subpar?
I mean, we got some on the line, you know, man. Like Clint mentioned earlier, Black Rob killing it. I mean, you got people like right now.
We're
That's
gonna
like,
talk about that in a second. What up, TJ Randolph?
Ain't nothing
Come
to
on,
it the way you do it.
I see you sporting. Come on. She said, I'm coming with my letters on.
Listen, I went to a PWI, but I will tell you, somebody spoke earlier and they said that, you know, many of the preconceived notions as it relates to historically Black universities is largely out of ignorance.
Mhm.
And I will concede that me and my family were a part of that because I'm from Oklahoma. I was the first in my family to go to college. So, you know, my grandfather and my mom, well, you know, you need to go down there to the University of Oklahoma and blah, 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 blah. Because there was an HBCU there right there in Langston University.
mm-hmm.
But the answer, you know, like, no, you need to go on down there to that University of Oklahoma. So to the point is, you know, when I did pledge my sorority, we were the little group that held each other accountable, but we didn't have that camaraderie. Well, it was 1,000 of us, but it wasn't an environment. So when you talk about having to hold the university accountable for the institutional racism, all, you know, not acknowledging it, absolutely. And it's interesting because let's fast forward to now. My mom is 72 years old. She attends she attends Fayetteville State University, is about to graduate with her bachelor's degree. And she told me that she wished she knew then what she knew now, because she would have advised me differently. You know, and again, so it was, you know, definitely out of ignorance, because she talks about exactly what you are saying here, the camaraderie, the closeness, how the teachers are basically, you know, surrogate parents, surrogate aunts, uncles, to make sure that you know, are held accountable, and that they want to make sure that if you start, you're going to finish, and all those things, even, you know, with someone as seasoned as my mom. So I think, again, it's definitely out of ignorance as it relates to Mr. Logic talking about, you know, the subpar, what have you. And Courtney and I talked about this earlier about another issue. My sorority sister, I went to University of Oklahoma, and she got her undergrad from Oklahoma, but she went to Thurgood Marshall Law School. Okay. We hadn't even met, but to the point is, when she represented me, there was no subpar. Okay. Mm-hmm. When I had to go up against my federal agency, you know, for discrimination, oh yeah, she brought the smoke and got my coinage. You understand me? Got me my coinage. So there is no subpar. Again, I think a lot of it is ignorance, and you know, I got a chance to do it right because I got a grandbaby. So in about 18 years,
there you go.
About 18 years,
come on and bring it to Nashville.
That's right. That's right. So y'all, that's right. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thank you, TJ.
Bye-bye.
Got to grow the people today. What's going on, J Bones?
Hey, what's going on? Good evening, family. How are you?
Good. How are you? What you got for us?
I'm gonna be real quick. I'm on vacation. I just wanted to say what's up. Unfortunately, I had to jump on because this is a great show. It's my first time here, but unfortunately, I did not get a chance to go to the great HBCUs. I went to Notre Dame, but my grandfather did. My grandfather actually worked with we have an HBCU alumni family. My grandfather went to school with Kwame Nkrumah, which is, if you guys know, our first president back home in Ghana. So, you know, we got some African representation in the HBCU, and, you know, it's always back home, a lot of his family members, you know, because he was a revolutionary leader with Malcolm and them, Elijah Muhammad, all those guys back home, Marcus Garvey. And he used to talk about the HBCUs a lot. Even when you go to Ghana now, one of our schools, Kwame Nkrumah University, they have an entire HBCU section just dedicated to the HBCU back home in Ghana. So And I just wanted to jump on and tell you how much we got love for the HBCUs back home in Africa. And unfortunately, let me tell you, when I was at Notre Dame, I visited some of the HBCUs, and I remember when I first went to Spelman, I was looking around. I said, "Man, boy, did I make a big mistake." I don't know. I was like, yeah, because I was like, man, I made a big mistake. Because I'm telling you, Notre Dame was dry. Like the parties was whack as hell. Like, yo, we was at the dorm. They was playing Linkin Park and Nickelback. I said, oh Lord, Jesus Christ. I said, somebody get me the hell up out of here.
I mean, it ain't bad. It ain't party music.
I mean, I could get into a little Linkin Park back in the day.
It ain't party music.
Nah, family. You had to be there. Like they was playing it all day. Like it's different if you're playing it once, but they was playing it like every single party. Like I remember one time I pulled out because when I was in college, that's when we had the iPods. Like the iPods first came out. So I literally walked up to the DJ. I pulled out the iPod and I just started blasting some DMX real quick because my brain was tired. I don't have time for this. Like it was too much. It was way too much. But yeah, I really want to jump on it just to let you guys know it's a great show. If you guys get a chance, because I know we have a lot of HBCUs that actually go back home into Ghana. When I lived in Ghana back in '95, a lot of the people from Tuskegee University actually used to come and teach us. A lot of people. Yeah, we had a lot of Tuskegee alumni. They used to come down to Ghana and actually teach us. They would teach us the whole summer. And till now, I actually thank God because that kind of prepared me for Notre Dame. Actually, it prepared me big time for Notre Dame. It actually put me in a great place. So, and I just wanted to remind everybody that, point out the facts. If you see the hate that Deion Sanders is getting, he's basically influencing the best of the best young Black athletes to go to HBCUs instead of PWIs. And I have no problem with that at all because, that's more life for us, more better road ahead. So thank God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shouts out to Deion, man. For real.
Shout out to Eddie George.
Shout out to Eddie George. Yeah,
shout out to Eddie
George too. Yeah.
Shout out to Ghana though. Shout out to Ghana. Ghana definitely is one of those because I've been to South Africa, and I've had a few African girlfriends. I've been in that. I said that sounded terrible, but I've been in the African. Like I'm saying to say like I've mixed it up with a lot of people from the motherland, and Ghana really make those efforts to bridge that gap from where we come to America.
Yeah, because a lot of people actually don't know, but that's what Ghana actually really means. A lot of people didn't know that, but Ghana is the gateway of Africa. So technically, we are the bridge gap. Like a lot of people actually, even though Nas has a song called "Bridging the Gap" with his dad, and that's actually one of the anthems. Yeah, that's actually one of the anthems back home in Ghana. Like when you get to the airport, they literally playing it like all damn day. So we are actually the bridge. Like. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that because like when we first moved here from Africa, when somebody asks about, hey man, you from Africa? What part of Nigeria you from? I'm like, nah, I'm not from Nigeria. It's like everybody thinks every African is from Nigeria. So I'm like, nah, it's like 54 countries. So you can go to any one of them. It's like, but Ghana is definitely we're actually like the direct bridge in the gap when it comes to African American culture. But yeah, we've set up a real HBCU shop. It was actually some of the students from Howard University. They came into Ghana a couple of years ago. So we have a real HBCU section just for HBCU people from kind of to represent you guys back home in Africa, in Ghana. So yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much and great show.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to Ghana. Next time you go, since you're from there, I'm trying to roll. Let me know.
I got you, man. I got you big time.
All right, look at the networking. All right, thank you, Jay. I appreciate you.
Hey, Court, I'd be remiss if I don't shout out one person, like my older brother. He's the athletic director at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
And these people are flashing in here and talking about HBCU athletics. We got Clint that played. He's an alum. And I'll tell you, keeping our talent home is huge. In terms of what they are trying to do right now across all HBCUs. You got Hugh that just went to Grambling. You got Dion that's at Jackson State. And it doesn't it's not a competition, right? It's not a competition. We're building this together. and we're trying to make sure that we create this atmosphere in which Black talent feels okay staying home in Black institutions. And so,
well, talk about that, because like, what is the significance of having Deion Sanders at Jackson State, having Eddie George at Tennessee State, having, I mean, you know, he didn't stay very long, but like Master P's son trying to come to TSU like
yeah. Now I ain't gonna lie, I might. For me, I'm gonna stay away from Masterpiece.
We'll stay away from that part.
But I'll say to as it relates to Deion and Eddie and Hugh, they all represent different things. They're different people, and you go back to that monolith, right? Like, it's okay for Deion's a little bit more flashy. He's always been that. Eddie's a little bit more straight laced. That's okay. Nashville maybe can't handle flashy. Eddie is a man of Nashville. Eddie is a man that, he became a man here. And so when you talk about him being able to take someone's son, rear him in Nashville, give him the tools that he needs to be successful, he's got the tools to do that. So, you talk about Eddie and what he can do for TSU is huge. But Hugh at Grambling, just let them run in their own lanes, right? So often we try to compare and joust, and it's like, listen, they don't do that at Alabama versus Georgia with Kirby and Nick Saban. They're not doing that. They're just saying who's going to win a national championship. But they're not saying, well, man, listen, they were dumb to hire Kirby Smart at Georgia versus Nick. They don't do that. We're the only people that I've seen that necessarily do that. And I say that to say this one. I'll give you another example of how we are. I was actually in the car today, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I was texting. I was on the internet. I was on the internet and I was driving, but I was looking at something. They were talking about your girl that went to Texas Southern. I forgot her name, rapper, but
Meg
she's into it right now with Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat. She dropped them right on her Instagram. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've never heard anyone say that the Rolling Stones and Aerosmith are into it, or that Maroon 5 and Third Eye Blind are into it. They don't do that, right? We're the only culture that somehow figures to pit our greats against other greats. And we got to stop that. And so, and that to me reflects back to, there's no need for us to talk about what Eddie's doing versus what Deion's doing. They're in different lanes, but we're all working in coordination. So we gotta stop that narrative.
I think it's important. Somebody just left a comment about the amount of money that is being built, the amount of money that the NCAA and PWIs are making, and how they're building their institutions off of our backs, right?
That's real.
I think history moves on, and people forget different things. Like right now, the people, like the younger generation, is saying that LeBron is no doubtly better than Michael Jordan, right? And we, people of our generation be like, man, hold on, like he a GOAT too, but MJ was that dude, right? But so I'm saying all that to say that, like, these, like, the original NFL players, came through HBCUs.
Yes.
The dominant players came through HBCUs because we weren't allowed to play at the PWIs.
Correct.
Right? They wouldn't even play us. And the moment they did start playing us, we were kicking their ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so the culture shifts, and they say, hey, you know what? In order to win, in order to sell more tickets, we need to go ahead and bring some of these black players in, right? And, the resources are better at those schools, right? But who cares, though? It's better traditions at HBCUs. And if there were no HBCU athletics, the NFL wouldn't be where it is right now, right? Your Ed Tuttle Jones, your Claude Humphreys, your Jefferson Street Joe Gillums, they went to HBCUs and basically built the foundation for black athletes to go to college and go to, further in their career and make millions, right? PWIs stole those individuals from HBCUs when they never wanted to give us opportunities. And these young kids got to know that, and they got to be proud to be black, proudly go to the schools that represent them and take their talents and help these HBCUs get the revenue they need to be able to build more resources that makes the entire school better as a whole.
Yeah.
Yes, and to add to that, well, real quick, I'm gonna shout out Keith Kane's. When I was talking about I was 16 and people was taking care of me, and I was in Inroads. Keith Kane, he was like big bro. He took care of me like big time when I was in Inroads. 16-year-old little kid. So shout out to him. But going back to what, Iota 530. Yep. So going back to what we're talking about is the endowments. The endowments to a lot of these schools is built off the football program. Yep. Michigan, Ohio State, they have stadiums of over 100,000 people capacity, and they pack it out every game. They have a total of I think 11 or 12 games and 6 or 7 home games. So we're talking about over 600 or 700,000 people that come in. Student tickets are normally about $15. All of the tickets, if you're not a student, people paying $100, $200, $300. Do the math. Every school, the large chunk of their endowment is football, and then basketball, and then on down the line. You think about the school, I think you said it earlier when you went to Brentwood Academy, and everybody there who's black play sports. It's like that at Alabama. You see somebody black, especially black and big, they play on a football team, basketball team, something like that. You take all these boys and you put them in HBCUs. And the reason why Deion getting hated so much is because if that happens too much, then these schools, they got TV deals on top of the attendance money they're getting. They got TV deals. Big 12 got a TV deal. SEC, Pac-12, Big East. They got TV deals with ESPN that are billions of dollars for people to pay for the streaming to watch the best players in college football. It's going to be NFL, NBA Tomorrow Stars to watch that now. All these boys decided to go to HBCU. This 10-year, they got a 10-year deal that don't expire. I think SEC got a 10-year deal now. Don't expire to 2031. Next year, let's say all them boys like, I'm not going to Alabama. I'm going to TSU. Like Alabama is underwater. Like some people's cars are. So like that's a big thing when you start messing with people's money. Even with the U.S. government, you get time in prison when you mess with their money. You can go out like I think Jadakiss said it. Like you can get like 10 years for a gun, and or killing somebody. But if you default on your taxes, you get the same time. Mm-hmm. That's because you messing the money up, and when you start messing the money up, that's when stuff like we had enough, and Deion starting to scratch it. But then I think with this NIL, I get deep into the sport with y'all, but with this NIL, they really adding that to kind of we getting away. If we add the NIL, they gonna pitch it where you gotta go to Alabama to get that big money because the boosters not gonna give you money. But the thing is, the school still ain't giving you money, and they making the money off your backs, but they not paying you. They putting that on other business to pay you. So it's still at the end of the day, 1700, 1600 slavery. It's just not chattel slavery.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I unfortunately I gotta hop off. Before I hop off, I just want to leave one thing with the community out there is that man, I had a professor at Tennessee State that really inspired me, Dr. William Latham. He was a proud Morehouse alum. He taught a class called Leadership, and his whole basis within the leadership course was surrounding love. He taught a whole class on love and how to be successful based on love. And the 3 things that he utilized, he said, if you love something and you're passionate about it, you use 3 things: vision, strategy, and execution. So I would like to leave any parent or uncle, auntie, grandmother who's thinking about sending their kid to HBCU with those 3 things. It's like, don't necessarily just look at where a school ranks, because we're not the ones that are creating those criteria of where we rank, right? They're not going to do anything to put us in the ranks to support us, to build us up. But instead of your child the ability to have vision, strategy, and execution, and whatever it is they want to do, whether it's finance, communications, entrepreneurship, doesn't matter. You take those 3 things, you apply it to your HBCU experience wherever you decide to go, and I guarantee you'll be successful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And before you head out, I got this up here for you because we're talking about famous people. and the greatness. But for people that don't know, you are 1/3 of the owner of Slim and Huskies. I don't think people know the importance of it as far as the movement that you have. I know that you talked about you're about to be one of the biggest. Now, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't want to mess it up. What the number one Black owned you about to be? I can't hear you.
We are currently right now, when you look at it, corporately owned units. Am I breaking up?
I hear you.
Yeah, I think he was.
I was gonna say yes, from a corporately owned Black restaurant chain. We are one of the largest companies right now. I think we might be the largest, but if not, we are, outpacing not just Black companies, but young restaurant companies in general. I don't like to. We like to get away from being like the first and things like that. We just all about progress, and I'm saying, and moving forward with what we're doing and our effect on the community. But yes, we are, one of the fastest growing young restaurants, period.
Hey, as soon as I get some money, I'm coming. If you taking investors, I be thinking about investing in y'all all the time. I be watching Shark Tank.
We're gonna save some shares for you, Freddie B, for sure.
Hey, I'm coming because I definitely want to be a part. Man, y'all doing y'all thing.
Yeah, and there you go. Now throw up the locations, which is 6 now in Tennessee, 2 in Georgia, and 1 in California. So
I'm behind.
Coming soon in Chattanooga, and also if you do not live in those states, you can also order your frozen pizza sent to your home on the website.
Coming soon. We're doing a frozen pizza nationwide shipping now. Coming soon, we're going to be entering the retail sector, so you'll be able to buy Slim Hushes in your local grocery stores. We're also working on a few media things as well, a couple of TV shows and opportunities that fell in our lap. So hopefully, you'll be able to see Slim Huskies on the big screen coming soon. That's just a little insider, some information for Courtney Michelle podcast.
Thank you very much. You need me to taste. You need me to taste any new ingredient on the pizza.
I got you.
We'll do it for free.
I got you.
All right, thank you, Clint. I appreciate it.
I know. Catch up with you, boy.
Salute.
Y'all be blessed.
You as well. Hey, Court, I'm gonna make my exit too. I got a little one. I gotta help get in bed. But
yeah, y'all go ahead. Go ahead. I'm so proud of you, Lavelle.
Hey man, listen. I appreciate this forum. I'm not gonna lie to you. For me, coming out and being able to maybe just in a small way help people understand how important HBCUs are to medical education, and into my life and to where I am. It's huge, and so I thank you for this forum to do it, and really, really grateful, and so keep doing what you do. You rocking.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Bye, Lavelle.
All right, catch you.
MD.
Now I can't play you because I said we had celebrities on here, so I can't necessarily play you because it'd be copyright infringement.
Oh, you talking about me?
Hey, like I said it. You don't know, baby. Hey, you better see him on the screen. I want to play it, but I can't because they flagged me, right? But I had to
I know the director and all that. I think a small clip probably wouldn't hurt. I wouldn't imagine. Because it's an all-Black crew who did this. And then it was funny when I did this scene, like they had me do this scene, and so it was up to me, I could wear what I want. So I was like, boom, I'm about to throw my TSU. Yeah. So I was like, I'm a rep. So, but this is a real fun piece to do. Like the guy who did it, Sam, he's all about like Black empowerment. He used to work at when I hosted this TV show. He was there as a camera guy. Now he's out in LA. He got his own like camera company. And so he got like a big boy Ari camera where he's renting it out in LA and to a lot of people shooting music videos, all type of stuff. So he's really, doing that whole thing of creating black cast, because like Vail was saying earlier, being a doctor, being someplace he's the only black person. A lot of times you're in TV with Insecure. I love Insecure, and that's what they were talking about with Insecure. Insecure was special because you was on this set and you had black actors, but behind the scenes you had black writers, black people behind the scenes too. I mean, you had some white people, but you had black people. So it was like, okay, this is like an HBCU on set as well, because so often, I'm on these sets and I'm hosting this and doing this. I'm the only black person. Like I said, now with Monster Jam, I'm the only black person. There's no other black person there. It's just me, and that's it. And the thing is that like all black people know, like, you could be in a black environment, it's just one white person, and we'll be inclusive of that white person. We'll take them in and they'll be a part of the fam. We just like, you part of the fam. We just black people, we just accept people into our circle all the time, even when we probably shouldn't. Know, but then vice versa. That don't really happen with white people. They just don't bring black people in and just embrace that only black person and just bring you in like you family like that. It's like, okay, we're gonna work with you, we're gonna be nice, okay, hi. But it's still like arm's length, like don't get too close, because it's like a fear there. Like, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, and then my voice kind of deep, so I'm kind of tall, and that could be scary. And it's just all these things you deal with, and so it's always refreshing doing a project like this. That's quality. I knew it was gonna be quality. You watch this, you see like, oh, this looks official, because he had official equipment. And it's funny, like, this piece is a lot of I ad lib so much, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Like I said, and it's so weird because between you and Mike, like, every time I'm turning, I want to watch a movie, I mean, like, well, who is this? Oh, and it's always someone popping up, TSU. And then, like I said, I know you saw me post this the other day.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good looks.
So yeah, so that's good. So I like I said, I'm just super proud. So what else do you have coming up for you, Freddie B? I know that you say that you're hosting some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, before in the last year, I've been working with the city of New York doing they got this website where they got these tutorial videos for like high school students that want to get into like media, like different things. So I'm hosting the media ones. So you go on and it takes you through a tutorial. So through the city of New York, so I got a chance to do that, and then went straight into this tour. So I'm on this tour. Like, I fly out tomorrow at 12, so I'm about to pack now. But every Thursday, I fly out to a date, which I got the dates on my Facebook page, the picture. But if you go to monsterjam.com, I'm Arena Series Championship East. So every weekend, every Thursday, I fly out. Monday, I fly back into New York, and so I'm doing that. So that's kind of like keeping me really busy, you know what I mean? Because I get in and I'm in this city, just boom, 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 and that's until May. So.
I'm over here talking muted. So you're working in corporate in Slim and Husky. So tell me a little bit more about what you do for the company with Slim and Huskies, and what we can look forward to that Clint didn't want to speak on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the project manager, so I work in the corporate office, and I work on all the new stuff really that we're working on with Slim and Huskies, the new locations, some new stuff, new technology, just bringing it forward, making your experience faster and better. And it's really kind of cool because I can really work with all the different projects, from tech to merch to service to operations, really kind of everywhere. And I don't even think that Clint really sometimes, because Clint's my boss, and Clint and Demo and EJ as well, give themselves what they've really built. Like, they're such good people. They're such great leaders. And, coming from Hilton, coming from the hotels, most of the time I'm the only Black face. As a GM, I was the only woman, and I was the only Black person. So coming into this corporate office experience that they built, it's my first time ever, like Freddie B was saying, like, that background of it all, like going to the corporate office and everybody looks like me. And everybody is educated, they're efficient, they're professional. We have our meetings just like everybody else, and always moving forward, thinking forward. And you know, I think it was surreal for me. Maybe my first month working with the company, and we had our weekly corporate meeting, and it's everybody, you know, in the corporate office there. And I'm looking around and I'm like, man, everybody get on like a TSU hoodie and some Nikes, some J's, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. It's normal. And everybody is very smart, very intelligent. The company runs professionally. I mean, this company is proof of what Black people can do when you run professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people say we can't run professionally or it's janky and all this stuff. No, actually, it runs very well and professionally and organized like a company.
Mm.
So it's just really beautiful to be there. It's literally like I feel like my career was putting me in this position all these years, all this experience in hospitality was putting me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But be on the lookout for the new Slim and Huskies Chattanooga opening in May as our next location. You can also check us out in stadiums throughout Tennessee and Georgia, the Titan Stadium, at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, as well at Grizzly games. And State Farm Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're still moving.
There you go. Yeah, someone's requesting Texas soon.
Texas, I've heard some Texas mumbling, so I don't think Texas would ever be far away at all.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all moving? That's crazy.
Oh, it's moving.
Yeah.
Constantly.
So I want to thank you guys for coming up and sharing your experience, your stories, being very open with people that are listening. I definitely hope that this panel was to shed a lot of light on HBCUs.
Girl, shed light on the people stay in the sunken place.
You know, it surprises me probably not every day of the things that I hear. And this one I just couldn't let fly.
Well, good for you. I'm so proud of you, Courtney. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And I'm so proud. I'm proud of both of y'all. But I want to make sure that everyone knows, and that you two know, that I handpicked you to come on here. I wanted someone to represent not only our school, HBCUs, but to represent Black excellence to the fullest. And you guys were the first people that I thought of.
Thank you. Black people are lit.
We are lit. So I appreciate you guys. I'm about to wrap it up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop you guys down, okay?
See ya. Bye.
Right, appreciate y'all.
Guys. Man. I can't tell you, this show for me was fun. The show for me was absolutely fun because it was like a little mini homecoming. It was all the people that I went to school with. We had on our Perry, telling our stories that we could all relate to. And mind you, we graduated. I'm about to tell my age. That's fine. I graduated 2006. So this is, geez Louise. Yeah, so this is almost, we cutting it 20 years. So 20 years removed, and I still have these connections. I can still call up anybody that went to TSU. Hey, come on up. I need you. And I'm here. That's family. And that's the family that TSU, HBCUs, that's what we create. So for anyone that's thinking a HBCU is subpar, you are gladly mistaken. And if these business owners, if these doctors, these dentists, these entrepreneurs, these actors, and these are just people that I know, these are just a few. If they're not telling you what Black excellence is and the humility that they have, I don't know what else to show you. So for this panel, for everyone that came up, I thank you. I thank you for representing, again, not only your school, but our people. I mean, y'all, you're killing it. And I'm very proud. And I'm very proud of my TSU. So I'm going to go out. I thank you again. Before you leave, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. I see some of my TSU people. Antonio, I see you. I'm going to need you to subscribe, bro, and put it in the TSU Uncut group. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. So until next time, next week here, Wednesdays, 6:30 Central Standard Time. T stands for Tennessee. S, S-T-A-T-E. U, University. T, S-U. I'm out. Thank you, guys.